Well, now, everybody, I am your host, Lambo Drew. You are now tuned into another edition of The Leverage Show. You know it is Finance Fridays Live, and we are definitely excited about today, man. I'm trying to tell y'all this right now, man. Last night was amazing, man. I really appreciate y'all, man, for definitely tapping in last night. I've had everybody from so many people, man, who were able to watch last night and then were tapping in, literally said, Lambo, I need the play on the guaranteed APR from the bank last night, man. And I told you guys, I said, man, listen, what if there was a way that you guys could actually make money off of someone else's loans, their APR that they actually have? What if there's a way you can make money? Banks have been doing it for years, right? I mean, for years, not on credit cards, because credit cards can go either way, right? I'm talking about high leverage loans, right? And I was literally I'm talking about till like 1 o'clock in the morning, literally from back to back off of the show last night, man, and was in Zooms and meetings. It was crazy. It was insane. And everybody was just like, man, they were hitting me up, texting, man, wanting to know, like, Lambo, you dropped the play on making money off of someone else's loan APR. How does that work? Tap me in. And I literally let them know. I said, dude, there are ways. There are now consistent, constant ways for you to make money, right? Like legitimate money that banks have been doing for years. Never knew you can buy someone else's APR rate and make money monthly off of that. I'm talking about nice money as well. If you guys caught that last night, man, I'm telling you what, it is insane. When I was beginning to talk with a couple of people last night, and it's just insane to even the thought of thinking of making 10% a month, 12% a month, 15% a month, guaranteed, right? Guaranteed. Not just that, I'm getting ready to blow your mind even with this. The banks that have been doing that have been large corporations anyway. They buy your APR rate that you're signing your wet signature to, and you're paying your monthly rate to on a loan. They sign it off and you make money off of it. And they have been buying people's APR rates. They have your information. They have your credit scores. They got your net worth. They got your business scores if you got a business. And let me just say this, right? Most of these, and actually almost all of these, right, are ones that I was introduced to from the meeting from a very high trusted source yesterday, over 3 hours, were people who have never ever defaulted, and 10 to 1 won't never ever default, right? So I'm trying to tell you this right now. You will be blown away of the opportunities of what you can do to make guaranteed money every single day, right? Or every single month. And I tell people there is risk that they put into place, which I didn't get a chance to share this yesterday, but you guys are getting this today, where if some strange reason, right? Some strange reason, someone were to default on this loan. This bank that I'm talking about, no one has ever defaulted. They've been around for years. They've been around for years. No one has ever defaulted. They have a 100% success rate of everybody who gets in this bank, and they strategically weed them out, by the way. Strategically weed them out. So it's not like the average one where you sign a wet signature and that's it. No, you have to have a certain net value, a net worth. You got to have so many reserves, right? Already reserved. If your bank, and this is how big this is, which most people don't notice, if the person decided to think that they would even miss a payment, the reserve pot that they already have aside already takes care of that payment. That's how big. So that's how they can guarantee that they will get their APR every single month. guaranteed. And then if something happens where the reserve, where it keeps going to the reserve to take it, and God forbid somebody just totally flatlines, right? They have enough money to be able to take care of the APR, right, for that time, but then you're get a percentage on the front end of that. So say if something happens to that APR loan where the individual is not able to take ownership after a few months because of it keep dipping, you get literally like 7 to 8% than what you would of your normal upfront. Just this is game. So when I tell people like this ain't no program, this ain't a platform, this ain't anything that people are actually promoting. You can't promote it. You can't do this. This is actual you going talk with the CEO of the bank, and you're doing a contractual agreement with the CEO of the bank, not a bank that they're saying online and you don't know who in the world is what and what in the world is going on. This is the actual CEO that you will actually be dealing with in his staff. You can physically walk into their bank, physically walk into the bank, and then to be able to gain passive income every month off of another person's loan APR rate. So if you're gaining 10% a month or 12% a month or 15% a month, is contractually agreed between you and the CEO. It's not no Joe Blow from Idaho, right? And shout out to our people from Idaho. We got some great friends that live in Idaho. Shout out to Rondi, man. You already know. And it's people that you're able to really go on ahead and capitalize on. When I was introduced to this within 24 hours, right? And I shared this that, hey, you guys, what if I can tell you there's a way to make a guarantee, which guaranteed, in this lane right now, we know almost everything is almost not guaranteed, and it's because of this. But then there's certain things are guaranteed. What if I can show you a way to guarantee make you 10 to 12 to 15% a month through an actual bank? Would you believe me? And from last night when I got off, people who had tuned in, they were on another Zoom sending messages back and forth. Lambo, we need that information for that. We want the information for that. If that is what it is, and we can actually have a legitimate bank, and we're able to go and purchase somebody else's loan APR rate and make that every month, that's your guaranteed money coming in every month, that's what we want to be in. That's what we want to go ahead and continue to be in those type of plays like that. Don't worry about it. Lambo got some more amazing plays for you guys. I'm going to definitely tap y'all into that play, right? But there's some other things that has to be taking place. I can set you guys the meeting up between you, the CEO. You guys can talk about it. The minimum investment for that is $50,000, though, to go into that play with the actual bank CEO and the actual staff of that bank, a real bank that has real clients with it. That's where it's going to be at, but you're able to go ahead and park serious money. And they've been having banks and people who have been partnering banks with wonderful things like this for quite some time. So again, we're just late to the party. Like I said, we found out yesterday that Chase, Bank of America, some of the biggest ones, Wells Fargo, they've been doing this for years. They have private investors that are able to take advantage of these APRs of loans that never actually going ahead will get defaulted because of whatever reasons. And they put these certain parameters in place so that the client forever makes money and that they never lose money. That is what I call a real next level come up. But definitely, man, excited about that, man. And truly can't wait to go on ahead and bring that information when it is fully available, right, for you guys to bring that up and really let you guys go on ahead and tap into that. I'm excited, man. That's what the Leverage Show is about, man. I mean, you guys asked for it, man, and that's what we're here for. So definitely want to tap in, man, today, man. See who's in the comments, man. Blue Skies in the building. Finance Fridays on February 24th. Getting my financial house in order. Shout out to you, Blue Sky. You already know, man, we in the building, man, doing what we do on Finance Fridays. Money is a tool. Love people, use money. Yes, man, money is a huge tool, man. And I'm going to say something more about that. A lot of times with money, we get ourselves into a position and where now when people found out, and shout out to everybody. I mean, I didn't know this last night, but when I was on here, I told everybody I would be going back this year. I finally started back up. I haven't did mentorships in almost 2 years, right? And I finally started going back as of somebody was actually challenged me, right? You guys did the and seen it, right? You guys talked about seeing Tony Nino, who's the gentleman and everything, who we had with me and Tim Roberts on our Zoom, who's now in Vegas, killing it right now, man. He's down there for the Super Bowl over the weekend. So shout out to you. Tony definitely taps in. Thank you, brother, for tapping in to the Leverage Show. And net worth $100 million, 9 figures. 9 figures, not what he earned. That's his net worth. He actually was on the new video, and I'm not going to go ahead and drop it. You guys are going to see it. I'll play a little bit of it when it does drop because the content was just recorded like 2 days ago, right before he left out. And that gentleman that he is actually connected with on that video, I'm actually a part of that group, which is insane with nothing but connections and resources and stuff like that, man, who did that. And so I'm excited to see so many people level up, right? So it was with Tony and got a chance to talk about Tony. And not just that, even with Rondi. Rondi said, Lambo, man, what are you doing? What are you doing your mentorships? And I had another great friend, man, who told me the exact same thing. And one of my other great friends says, Lambo, dude, you need to really do that again. Start that back up, right? And I said, look, I won't do it at the levels where I was doing it at before because they had some lower levels that I had other groups and people and managers actually taking over those programs. And I said, I'll just do the $10,000, the $25,000, and $100,000 level, right? I'm just only going to do those 3 levels of mentorship. Right. Shout out to everybody, man, who even woke up this morning to messages, man. Can't wait to go ahead and be a part of that. The cool part about that is, let me say this to you about those type of memberships, right? This is not the average mentorship that you pay for and that's it, right? Most people, I've seen people pay for $5,000 and $10,000, $20,000 memberships. I mean, I've seen people pay for $100,000 memberships. You can't wipe the butt with the membership. Straight up. Straight up, there's nothing you can get out of it. Nothing you can get out. Heck, I've had a guy offer a $250,000 mentorship. This is true story. And I asked, what could you get? What are you going to be getting out of this $250,000 mentorship? And it was so big. Oh, well, man, you know, they've made millions do that. I said, well, millions don't make Lambo to jump to that because that's, you're already, you know, doing stuff in that field, then you got to do something else besides that. Okay, tell me, are you making, you know, billions to multi-billions in this area? Now you're able to go, and then what do you do? Is it valuable? Can you scale that to the normal person, right, who's working a 9 to 5 or who may come up on an inheritance or use to leverage their credit to jump in there and then they can passively start making money? Can you do that, right? And the person with the $250,000 mentorship, this is a $250,000 mentorship now, and I never forget this. They said, well, Lambo, this is what it involves with. You're able to do X, Y, and Z with this mentorship. I said, really? I say, so you're getting ready to pay $250,000, right? $250,000. Let me get this right. And you are getting ready to go to this mentorship for you to do all the work? Like there is, what are you gaining from behind it? And so I asked some certain questions and everything behind it, right? And I said, what are you gaining behind it? Just let me ask you that. What are you gaining from behind that? And they said, well, Lambo, the other friend had jumped in. He had been in it for 3 months. I said, well, what kind of profit is he seeing right now? What is he able to do? Right? Let's just cut straight to the chase. Because you're getting ready to go drop $250,000. Your friend that's been in it or whatever for over 3 months. What does he say? Oh, well, Lambo, he's just really prepared right now. Everything is preparation. Keep in mind, this is over 2 years ago when I'm telling you this story. 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago. When I'm telling you the story. That friend paid $250,000. He decided to jump in and pay $250,000. That's $500,000 right there. Now keep in mind, I can't even believe $500,000 going out to something that is not going to be producing any cash flow at all. He went in, they both paid $500,000. To this day right now, sad to say, both of them are not even making $60,000, $70,000 a year. Straight up. Their stuff is flopped. Everything that they have done or tried to do, they wind up over leveraging themselves. One of them actually went over a little over, I think, $1.5 million in debt. Trying to go ahead and say, oh, well, yeah, well, they say you do it like this. I say, no, it doesn't work like that. Doesn't like, and I'm telling him when he came back to me, telling me about the mentorship and all the stuff that they're learning and all the stuff that they're doing, and I'm telling them, no, it doesn't work like that. Only because the expertise that I have in these other areas, I know what works and what doesn't work, right? It's just science, right? That gentleman with the $1.5 million in debt had to go file for bankruptcy last year. Yeah. The other gentleman is making $70,000 a year through a job. Working a job. He had to go get a job after they've spent $500,000 collectively together and $1.5 million in debt for one of them from doing other stuff. That's over $2 million between the both of them. Wasted. Now, again, Lambo's not saying that he's the creme de la creme to it all. He's this guru of all gurus to it all. But I will say this, just straight up real with you. That is the reason where most people fail, is because they get pumped up off of amazing zeal. I get it. I understand what they're going to tell you. Can I say this to you? Every successful thing that you do works in a system and works with relationships. Those are the two things. If you're going to leverage, right? Nobody can't just come to you based off of, yeah, I'm getting ready to show you how to go ahead and do this and everything, and they feeding you Pablo. You have to be able to know for a fact, and I mean this, I'm serious. You have to be able to know for a fact how to get things done and how to get things done the right way, right? When we structured, and I remember Lambo first structuring, man, some really big $1 million plays for people, and I'm putting it together. And I'm sitting up in here and structuring it. And not thinking that in my head, right, that the self-gratitude of seeing them run the play would be successful as much of it was, and being able to duplicate that over and over and over and over again. Success has receipts. Success has receipts, straight up. And without that, the validity of a person, of people are trying to follow people, and this, no disrespect, I get the fact everybody had a course a couple years ago coming out. Everybody had a course coming out. Everybody had a course coming out. Everybody. You looked online. Every time that people were sitting up in there, they're looking online. They're saying, yeah, I got this course. You want to take this course? Look, just watch this course. And when people were actually, man, I went on ahead and wrote 2 ebooks free for people. Free. 2 ebooks. Actually, I wrote a bunch of ebooks, but 2 ebooks free and gave people the same game people were charging $2,000 to $5,000 for. And I gave it to them the same thing for free. Say, hey, y'all can go catch my ebook. It's free. Catch it out there. Y'all go catch my ebook. It's free. Take the game, run the play. You'll thank me later. The markets, as I said back then, would become oversaturated between Turo and Airbnb. I said that back then. I said it. They had people, man, who were charging $5,000 for a course, right? I'm just straight up. And then they charged another $40,000 for mentorship. So that's $45,000 that you were out right there, right? For Turo. And I laughed. I said, man, do you know, like, that market, when people really catch wind, it's going to become oversaturated. It's going to become to the point to where you are not going to be able to make money like you think that you're going to make money with this. And then you're going to have to go on ahead, man, and adjust. You're going to have to do some other things, straight up. So what are you going to do then? I remember, and I said this just on a program just the other day. I remember when Turo was really popping in the height of COVID. True story. Go back and look it up. The numbers were astronomical. That's when the rental car agencies, man, were getting pounded, right? They couldn't keep rentals, the cars, and they didn't have enough people to get in and clean and everything else. And so rentals were sky high at an all-time high. Turo, you could go in there and clean them. Clean them. First year, 2 years, I mean, you were able to make some serious money. Now you can still make money with Turo. Don't get it twisted, right? But you can clean them. Mercedes-Benz, you could rent a Mercedes back then for $200 a day, just depending on the level of the Mercedes, right? You could rent some amazing vehicles on there and make you some nice profit. The same vehicle for the same Mercedes today, you go on Turo and see them as low as $50. $50 a day for the same Turo that they had 4 years ago, that they were able to make $200 a day, $150, $200, $250 a day for that same Turo. Now it's $50 a day. You're able to get some $40, $50, $60. Heck, people got cars out there, man. I said, I don't even know how to even put it on it. They got 2006 Toyotas, Corollas out there going for $20, $25 a day, making a hustle. And people will sit back up there and go pick up the $25 Toyota. You know what I'm saying? Just to go ahead and say, yo, I got this. And then other ones that are out there that are overpriced and they're sitting on their high, right? They can't sit up in here and they can't move it. And I'm talking about there's some nice vehicles on there, right? Man, I have seen, and I have told y'all the story. I have seen people put, high exotic cars on Turo. And I said, hey, you getting ready to mess up, because you getting ready to go ahead, man, and find out that people who just jump on Turo to go use a car like that, right? They are out there. You have to charge an extra premium or a down payment or a refundable deposit if you really want to go on ahead and have somebody cherish your vehicle on Turo. Straight up. The horror stories that came after people decided to get in after they bought them courses, especially the people who bought the $45,000. I'm going to speak about them real quick. You pay $40,000 for membership, pay the $5,000 for the course. It's $50,000 going out the gate. And I told them, I said, man, you may not want to do that just because I know the curve. And if you do that, you want to put X, Y, and Z vehicles on there now, right? What happened? Just as I said, the cars were tore up. Exotics. I'm talking about real nice cars. Tore up, jacked up, people not taking advantage of them. I said, well, if you had went this way, you could have went on ahead and made you some nice, consistent profit and made serious money. And you could have really gone ahead and really scaled your business and continue to keep doing the thing. And they were coming back saying, wow, we thought that we would go on here and charge $700-800 a day, right? Straight up. $700-800 a day, which they're already down anywhere between, 25 to over, almost 25 to almost 100% of what they could have been charging more for that. Some of them vehicles should have been written at about $1,500, $1,600 to $2,000 a day, but they're renting out there for $700-800 a day, $600 a day, just to say, yeah, we just want to rent it out there. And then when somebody gets in there, right, they swipe their card, they get in there, and they're paying that. They're all excited and stuff like that. And then the cars come back like the next week looking like it's been in the Dukes of Hazzard. Straight up. I'm telling y'all today, there are ways and strategies and what you can use that can leverage you if you know the right way. People went paid $45,000 for a course and a one-on-one Turo mentorship. And right now, today, they're out of business. They're out of business. Couldn't pivot, couldn't leverage, couldn't do anything to maneuver because they didn't listen to wisdom and guidance when people who are out here who are seeing how the way the market is and the way the market is moving. They're out of business today. I'm saying something to you guys because I really want you guys to go ahead and level up on a whole nother level. I mean, a whole level that when people see you guys not only can know what you're talking about, but you can stand on what you're talking about and said, you know what, Lambo, you're 100% right. In a heartbeat, this is Lambo. Most people don't know this, and y'all may not respect this or whatever. In a heartbeat, I would pay for the right mentorship in relationship. Y'all don't even understand that. But I know from my personal experience, you want, some of y'all been trying to get attention and trying to see what you can do. And then I look at how you spend. And I can tell you and everything, man, on how you spend and everything, man, where you're going to go. I can tell anybody how you spend, where you're going to go. I can tell you. I know it. The saying says, where your heart is where your treasure is. And when people look at the treasure, I watch people put other things. I watched it with my own two eyes, right? And you just sit back and be observant. It's just like, hey, man, I can't force you to make a decision. Ma'am, I can't force you to make a decision. But if you keep making the decisions that you're going to make right now, I'm going to tell you where you can end up. And I'm telling you where you're going to go. I'm telling you where you're going to stuck. I can tell people what's going to get them over the hump or what's going to get them out. But most people don't want to hear the bitter truth. They would rather hear a sweet lie than the bitter truth. Tell me a lie. Give me a sweet lie. Because you don't want to offend nobody. Okay, well, cool. Stay right there. I don't need to offend you. You have your own mind made up. And a person who has their own mind made up, let them make their own mind. My job is to give you straight up facts. Every time I get in front of this camera, every time that I talk with you on the phone, I do a Zoom with you, I do any kind of calls with you or anything that I do, my job is to give you the straight up truth. Because at that point, I can go on ahead and at least help save you from a wreck. The last thing you want to do is have your life train wreck because you didn't have the proper guidance, the proper wisdom, the proper instructions, right? And then what happens and everything, man, when you don't have it, it gets, and honestly, I've seen it and stuff like that, man. It gets kind of lonesome when you're actually taking another L. Like, man, Lambo, I just took this L. I got to take another one. Can't listen. Body can't tell you anything. So when I see that, I'm like, dude, if somebody asked me, right, and there was a story, right, and it was all over the news, right, and it was Jay-Z for lunch, right, a lunch with Jay-Z or dinner with Jay-Z for $500,000, right, in a heartbeat, Do you guys remember? And I'll pull it up for you. Do you guys remember what Jay-Z did to really become a billionaire? He's worth 2.5 billion now. But what did he do strategically to make him become that billionaire? What did he do? What did he do? At the time, Jay-Z was worth about 600-700 million. 600-700 million. He's now quadrupled his net worth. What did he do? And I'm going to ask that question to anybody. And I'm going to show you what he did, where I just was shocked that, you know, I was shocked when he did it, but then I wasn't shocked because what it did was it solidified him. Look at this. Golly, I can't play this. They're going to forget it. They're going to get me anyway. They're going to get me anyway. Lambo ain't worrying about this being monetized or anything like that. Lambo ain't worrying about it being monetized, right? This is what certain things we can do, certain things we can't do, right? So let's go ahead. Let's do this thing. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's get this thing started. You understand? And I want to show you what happened. What was the changing point that really solidified him and going to the next level. And most people are sit back up here and they just like, Lambo, I never even know that. I'm like, yeah, if y'all don't remember this. For those who remember this. But I'm getting ready to show you something right now. Y'all ready? Here we go. Look at this. Cancel that. Boom. And da 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 da. Let's go. Here we go. Y'all remember this? Warren Buffett and Jay-Z, billionaire, investing
reached a level of success almost legendary. What did you do? What made you different? Warren, we'll start with you because they're investing. There are a lot of bright people. They've all claimed to read Graham and Dodd.
Who remembers this?
They all claim to be disciplined, and yet there's only one Warren Buffett.
Well, I was lucky that I got started early. I mean, it always helps if you get started early. And my dad happened to be in the investment business, so I would go down to his office on Saturdays. And so at age probably 7 or something, I started reading these books that were around the place. And so I had a 15-year jump on many people in a sense, and that helped a lot. And I was always fascinated by it. I knew what I wanted to do early, and I think that's a huge advantage too. And then you don't need a lot of brains in this business. I mean, I've always said if you got an IQ of 160, give away 30 points to somebody else because you don't need it in investments. What you do need is emotional stability. You have to be able to think independently, and you have to be when you come to a conclusion, you have to really not care what other people say and just follow the facts and follow your reasoning. And that's tough for a lot of people. That part I think I was just lucky with. I was born that way.
In terms of emotions, it's a truism that investing emotions are your enemy.
Absolutely.
That when the market's good, if you feel good, don't. If you feel bad, you should probably do it.
Right.
But how did you? What was that extra thing where so many will acknowledge that, and yet we saw in the current crisis, they panicked while you went into seemingly potential disasters like GE and Goldman Sachs.
Yeah. I can't really tell you I mean, I didn't learn in school or anything. It never bothered me if people disagreed with what I thought, as long as I felt I knew the facts. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things I don't know a thing about. I just stay away from those. So I stay within what I call my circle of competence. You know, Tom Watson said it best. He said, I'm no genius, but I'm smart in spots, and I stay around those spots. Well, I try and stay around those spots, and I just don't have a problem if somebody says, you're wrong on something. I go back and look at the facts, and I think that really is much more important, frankly, than having a few points of IQ or having an extra course or two in school or anything of the sort. You need emotional stability.
And so in terms of people who are not even in the business, if they, I think we were talking when we had dinner the other day about how in tennis, most of us are never going to get to Wimbledon. But if we just focus, as somebody once said, get the ball over the net. Don't try to be fancy about it. Just get the ball over the net. You'll do fine.
Yeah, and that's a little bit like, I've got this rule, the first rule is don't lose, and the second rule is never forget the first rule. So it really isn't so much having a lot of brilliant decisions. It's just not really having some terrible ones. And frankly, I did learn from Ben Graham how to avoid ever having any disasters in investments. It wasn't that you were going to come up with the very smartest thing, but if you never have any significant losses, some singles and doubles will produce a lot of runs before you get through.
Who was Ben Graham? He was your primary mentor, model?
He was a wonderful man, and he was my professor at Columbia. I read his book when I was 19 at the University of Nebraska, and I'd started investing when I was 11, and I started reading about it when I was like 7. So I'd gone through I read every book in the Omaha Public Library that there was by the time I was 12 on investing and stock market. And I had a lot of fun, but I never really found out, I never got grounded in anything. And it was entertaining, but it wasn't going to be profitable. And then I read Graham's book, The Intelligent Investor, when I was at the University of Nebraska. And that just opened the whole thing up to me. Yeah, and I named my oldest son is named Howard after my dad, Graham Buffett. And he was a marvelous man. Never expected anything from me in return. He just did all these things for younger people.
You have just a couple of quick examples of the things that he did that you will look back on? It's one thing to read something, but quite another to see it in action.
Well, but what he did was he got me thinking, not as a stock, as something with a ticker symbol that wiggles around and that you look at charts on or anything. He taught me to think about it as part of a business, and that was vital. And he taught me not to really pay any attention to stock market fluctuations except when they were working in my favor, so that not to get elated because something had gone up or depressed because it went down. So if I knew the facts on something and it went down, I bought more of it, and because I looked at it as a business. And then he taught that famous lesson about a margin of safety, that you don't drive a truck that weighs 9,900 pounds across a bridge that says limit 10,000 pounds, because you can't be that sure about it. If you see something like that, you go down a little further down the road and you find one that says limit 20,000 pounds, and that's the one you drive across.
So he, in effect, taught you that stocks weren't just numbers. Numbers were shorthand for flesh and blood businesses.
Absolutely.
And very easy to overlook.
I've never forgotten it.
Jay, you are in a business that's perhaps even more competitive, because there's probably not a young person in the country who at some point in their lives wants to be an entertainer, a star.
Right.
And you've not only have done it, but you've done it consistently. And even though you're only 40 going on 41, in that business, that's almost like 80 in Warren's world. It's tough to do more than one or two. Looking back, what were the things that broke you out of the pack in the most dramatic way possible?
As I was listening to him, I just hear all the similarities and all the things in what he's saying, right? Because if you don't look at it as tickers and things like that, you're really just searching for the truth within, all that. And within all the numbers and all the chaos, you're just searching for the truth, right? And that's the key to being a recording artist, right? You're telling your story or finding your truth at the moment. Mine's a little opposite from Warren, because I started a little later. My first album didn't come out till I was 26. So I had to a bit more maturity of where I was at. It's my first album had all these, emotions and complexities and layers to them that a typical hip hop album didn't have, because, we were making it at 16, 17 years old. It wasn't enough wealth of experience to share with the world. So at 26, I had been through so many different things. I had so much wealth to share, with the world at that time. And from that starting point, I've never forgotten those things. Like you said, you never forget those true things that you stick to, your basic things that make you successful. And for me, it's that truth, finding that truth, the truth of the moment of where I am at the time, not trying to cater to a certain demographic, or, not being something I'm not driving a truck over a bridge, 10,000, the whole thing. Like, there's so many similarities in what he was just saying.
Now, in terms of a mentor, you mentioned at a young age, you got a love of words. How you meant, and before we recorded, you mentioned a 6th grade teacher brought that out in you that's lived a lifetime.
Yeah, I was telling you early, like in our classrooms where we grew up. I grew up in Marcy Projects in Brooklyn, and our classrooms were flooded. So it's very difficult for teachers to give you like one-on-one attention. And there's just one 6th grade teacher. Her name was Miss Loudon. She must have saw something in me, and she gave me this attention, and she gave me this love for words. It's funny how it works. It's worked for me to this day. But just a little bit of attention, she also took us on a field trip to a house, which opened me up to the world. My neighborhood had been my world. It's the only thing I'd seen. I just saw a whole different world. My imagination grew from there. I wanted that. I aspired to have that. The small thing. She had like a ice thing on her refrigerator. You push the ice and the water come down. I was really amazed by that. I was like, I want one of those. It's true.
Now, you also, even though you didn't record your first album till you were 26, you, in effect, were writing music in your own mind.
Yeah, I was around music my whole life. My mom and pop had like a huge record collection. So I started out listening to music early on, and I would just write music, and I just had a love from it, from there. And I didn't get to it, I got caught into my neighborhood and my surroundings, but I've always taken it with me, and I've always went back to it, and then just got to a point where it was like, make this decision. This is something you really love and you love to do. It's time to really focus on it and get serious about it, and give it your all. And once I did that, it was no looking back from there.
And you were able to overcome where you grew up, as you once put it. You saw what happened, and things like drug dealing, where the life would end, and you decided at some point, I'm not going there.
Yeah, just those sort of decisions that happen in many of our lives. When we're faced with those fork, the fork in the road moments. And I was around people, and I was seeing people, really genuinely nice people, going away for 13 years, and all these unjust and Rockefeller laws, and I was just around that so much that I would just told myself, man, I have to make a decision at some point. And I made this decision to focus on music, which was my love, and it worked out.
Consistency. People have a love of music. They may do 1 or 2 or 3 albums, and then for some reason they fade away. That hasn't happened to you.
I think again, it goes back to a bit of what Warren was saying as well. Like, it's the discipline as well, the discipline to not get caught up in the moment. Music is like stocks too. There's the hot thing of the moment. There's this hot electro sound, or the hot auto-tune voice, or the hot whatever's new and exciting. And people tend to make emotional decisions based on that. They don't stick with what they know. This is who I am. This is what I do. And then they jump on this next hot thing, and it's not for you. So for me, just having the discipline and having the confidence that in who I am, you know, and if I go into a studio and if I find my truth of the moment, there are a number of people in the world that can relate to what I'm saying, and it's gonna buy into what I'm doing. You know, not because it's the new thing of the moment, but because it's my genuine emotions. It's how I feel. It's how I articulate the world. And, you know, just having the discipline to just, you know, be yourself.
Because you once said, as an artist, you are fighting against everything that's new and everyone's fascinations with new things.
Yeah, shiny things.
And
people fall in love with shiny things.
So in essence, as you grow older, you bring an audience with you because the
Right.
topic of your music grows with you.
Right. Right.
So
I
it
mean,
never doesn't go stale.
yeah, because for hip hop is like 30 years old. Like hip hop is fairly a new genre of music. So we've never seen you know, the maturation of hip hop, you know, in this sort of way. It's never happened before. You know, people would get a certain age and still try to pinpoint this, you know, young demographic, because hip hop was a young man sport. But, you know, people that listen to hip hop when they're 18, they still gonna like hip hop when they're 28. It's just that the voices in hip hop are not speaking directly to them anymore. Weren't, you know, they weren't. They were speaking to a 18-year-old demographic, you know. So, you know, you're 28, you don't have anything to listen to because no one's relating to you. So, you know, my whole thing was, I'm not gonna do that. You know, I'm just gonna make, you know, the music that I love to make and that I want to make, and I'm gonna mature with my music. And, you know, luckily for me, it was the right decision.
When did you realize that not only did you have this ability with music and not to get stale, but recognize too, you have to be treated also, even though you love it, as a business, so that you don't end up, as so many do, they lose everything they have. They're in effect indentured to companies, and they're not masters of their fate.
Yeah, that was the greatest trick in music that people ever pulled off, is to convince artists that you can't be an artist and make money. I think the people that were making millions actually said that. I think they set that whole thing up. You know, it was almost like shameful, like especially in rock and roll, you had to pretend that, you know, you got these millionaire guys who had to pretend as if they weren't successful at all, or it would be like a detriment to their career. You know, hip hop from the beginning, you know, just, it was always been aspirational, you know, just always broke that thing, you know, that thing that an artist can't think as well. And I think at the end of the day, as long as when you separate the two and you're not making music with business in mind, because you at some point it has to be real when they touch it, when they listen to it, you know, something has to resonate with them that's real. As long as when you're in the studio, you're an artist, you make music, and then after you finish, you market it to the world. I don't think anything is wrong with that. In fact, I know there's nothing wrong with that.
So how, going right from the very beginning, you learned about the business of music because you couldn't.
Well, we were forced. Yeah, we were forced in the beginning. I wish I could say we were geniuses and said we're going to start our own company. You know, that's not what happened. You know, in the beginning, we went to every single label, and every single label shut their door on us. The genius thing that we did was we didn't give up. We didn't say, because these guys, you know, we use that what do they know approach. You know, we didn't give up at that point. I think that was the genius thing we did. We started selling our own CDs and we built our own buzz, and then the record company came back to us. So now we had a different negotiation. You know, it wasn't the same artist label relationship. Now we retain ownership in our own company, and it was the best thing for us. You know.
Well, one of the things you did fairly recently was about 3 years ago. You were with a company, you were president of a company, you saw firsthand what you thought was wrong with the music business, you wanted out, and you're willing to put money to get yourself out.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily want out. I wanted to work with them, but I wanted like a fund in a sense.
You're president of the company?
Yeah, I was the president of Def Jam Records, and I wanted a fund to you know, I wanted to work there.
Because
But I wanted the
what
fun to,
struck you is they'd take all these artists, almost like throwing them against the wall, see which ones would stick. You thought that was a
yeah, because
huge waste of money.
yeah, in the music business for a long time, a hit record solved all your problems because there wasn't the internet and it wasn't this YouTube and it wasn't so many other factors. It was just the music. So that model still exists of, you know, just putting artists out and see what works, you know. And as the machine stopped moving faster, a lot of things got lost in the process, you know, A&R and letting the artist development. You know, so it got to a point we were, as a music business, we were releasing hundreds and hundreds of albums every year, and you know, the percentages was like really low, like 56 albums and 4 artists work, or you know, something like that. So I wanted to bring, you know, the entire culture into it. I wanted a fund so I could do other things aside from signing artists, like, you know, buy a television station or buy a club that, you know, we can develop these artists in, or, you know, buy some headphones, you know, it's just all these different things I wanted to do. And I don't think at that time, you know, they could really get their mind around it. It's not something they were willing to do. And, you know, I just felt like I would be a waste there. So, you know, I started my own thing, Rock Nation, and, you know, that's what we do. We have everything from, it's a publishing company, you know, we have writers, you know, it's a recording company, we have, it's a touring company. It's,
Did you have sleepless nights when you put, what was it, $5 million to buy out your last contract for an album?
Yeah, at the end of that, my Def Jam, very much so. I even have a better story for you. So my last year of Def Jam, you know, when I proposed this and it didn't work, you know, I went over to sign with a group called Live Nation and made Rock Nation. But that was me as a businessman. As an artist, I still had one album left with Def Jam and Universal. And I went to Doug Morrison, L.A. Reid, who was the chairman of Def Jam at the time. You know, he did a great thing for me. He allowed me to, you know, walk in and have the conversation with Doug. And Doug, you know, we had a fantastic relationship. So it was very cool. But I bought my last album back. And what people don't know about is the day I had flew in from Hawaii, I was doing some recording and I had an iPod in my pocket and I was on a commercial flight coming from Hawaii to New York. And I had on jogging pants and my iPod with all the music that I recorded was missing. It was on a plane somewhere. So I had to walk into the office the next day and buy an album back that might leak the next day. So every day I would wake up and be like, I would check all the internet places and everywhere and be like, for like 3 months. But I, you know, at the end of the day, it was worth it. You know, just, you know, I was heading in a different direction and just that freedom. And it turned out to be a great decision for me. It was a great decision for the company. They got some money and, you know, great decision for me. Got a very successful album, The Blueprint 3, and, you know, which had Empire State of Mind on it, was sold about, you know, 4 million singles itself. And, you know,
which someday may become the anthem for New York.
Yeah, actually my first #1 record was, as a solo artist, you know, I had #1s as collaborate with collaborators, but my first #1 across the board album record came off that album. So it was like really good time for me. And I think, and I believe in, you know, everything aligning up. So I think it happened at that time for the right reason.
That leads to, you mentioned things line up. Luck. We all know hard work's essential, discipline's essential, staying power is essential, but there's that element there that you can't quantify, but you know it's there. Warren, you've had some thoughts.
Well, there's a lot of luck. I mean, just being born in the United States in 1930, the odds were like 30-1 against me. I mean, you know, I didn't have anything to do with picking the United States as I emerged, and having decent genes for certain things. And in my own case, I was sort of wired for capital allocation, and being wired for capital allocation a couple of 100 years ago in Nebraska wouldn't have been a thing. And even now, being born in various parts of the world, it wouldn't have meant much. But here I was in this soon to be very rich capitalistic system. And it just so happened that what I did paid off enormously in a market system like we have. And if I'd had a talent in some other area that was way less commercial, I mean, I would have had a good time doing it, but it wouldn't have paid off like this. But of course, Jay said it perfectly when he talked about, he's in there recording for himself and the money comes afterwards. I mean, I got to do what I love. I mean, and it doesn't get any luckier than that. If you can spend your lifetime, and I'm 80 now, and doing things you love every single day. I mean, I would be doing what I do now, and I would have done it in the past if the payoff had been in seashells or shark's teeth or anything else. If you can go to work every morning, I tap dance to work, and I come down and every day's exciting. So that is lucky. I mean, that didn't have to happen that way. If I'd been born in 1930, if I'd been born a female, if I'd been born black, I would not have had the same opportunities that I had. I mean, it's chance. I mean, my parents loved my sisters just as much as they loved me. My sisters are just as smarter than I am and all of that, but they didn't have the same expectations in the 30s for a young smart girl as they had for a young smart guy. And so I've had all kinds of luck. I had the luck of, I got turned down by Harvard. Well, getting turned down by Harvard, then I got to study under Ben Graham at Columbia, which changed my life. All kinds of things have worked out. So I just hope I stay lucky. I've been lucky for 80 years.
Yeah, where you grew up, you could have easily have ended up, as you've discussed with your friends, who did something and by golly, they were put away and didn't get the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, there are very few people that from my neighborhood, in my environment that make it out. I mean, forget about to be successful, to make it out alive, or to be incarcerated. I have a great friend, who just came home, who's one of the most beautiful people you ever meet, and he's, he just came home from doing 13 years, and we were together every single day, and had it not been for music and music taking me out, at the right time, my life could very easily have been his, very easily. We were together every single day.
Mention the story about London.
Yeah. So they did, we were into different things. We were into a lot of street things, and just so happened I had a talent to make music, and a guy by the name of Jazz, who I started out with really early, he got the opportunity. He got to deal with EMI. He had the opportunity to go to London to record his album, and I went along with him, and we waited for 2 months. Well, in that 2 months, there was a sting operation, and they took, my friend I'm talking about, took him away for 13 years, and the only reason I was in there because I was away, doing this music stuff.
Amazing. Business models. We've touched on it, that just because you've done something right before with the music business, they're accustomed to doing things a certain way. World changes, they can't adjust. Warren, what advice do you have? You've seen it in the newspaper business. You made your name. Washington Post, Buffalo News.
Right.
Legalized monopoly. 30 IQ, you could put them in those businesses and they'd succeed.
Yeah, right.
and then now they're
it happens.
Crashing.
It happens. I mean, street railways were big here almost 100 years ago. But I will say this about investing. Everything you do learn is cumulative. I mean, that doesn't mean that industries stay good forever or businesses stay good forever, but learning to think about business models. What I learned at 20 is useful to me now. What I learned at 25 is useful to me now. And so it's not a field that changes dramatically in terms of the underlying principles. It's like physics. I mean, there's underlying principles. Now they're doing all kinds of things with physics they weren't doing 50 years ago. But if you know if you got the principles, if you know what makes a good business, if you know what makes a good manager, if you know what makes a good product, and you learn that in one business, there is some transference to other businesses as you go along, and you learn what things you're not going to understand. I mean, knowing what to leave out is just as important as knowing what to focus on. And I don't think I can win every game. Somebody said, how do you beat Bobby Fischer? You play him any game except chess. So I don't play Bobby Fischer chess. And there's a lot of value to learning that over time and learning what you're good at and what you're not good at.
And Jay, your business is like the the newspaper business. You yourself have said that record companies are anachronistic, that they lost it. They lost it with Napster. Explain how they did it and what you learned from it and how you think you can go forward and survive in an environment where what had been true for decades is no longer true.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing about a business is recognizing change. You know, the variables are not the same. There's a big thing called the internet, so it changes the landscape of everything. I think the consumption of music is at an all-time high, but as we see, the music business is down. So something has to be done there. It was a time in music where a hit solved everything. You just had a hit; it didn't matter what was going on. Get a hit, and it solved everyone's problem.
Covered a lot of sins.
That's no longer true, not today. And I think, just having that mentality for so long, I think it's the music business is still stuck in that place because, we haven't figured that we haven't figured it out.
That Napster, they made a huge mistake on Napster.
Yeah, well, Napster came along and there was this file sharing thing, and at the time we had the opportunity to embrace it, and this way you can control it. It was one place. But when you stop Napster and we shut down Napster, just the arrogance that we had, it made 1 million Napsters. Now it's impossible to control. Just that sort of thinking. I think in business, one of the biggest thing is to open yourself up for change. You don't have to change who you are and how you operate, but just, if the landscape is changed, then the way we do business has to change somewhat. We don't have to change who we are. We have to change the way we go about it. Because like I said, the consumption of music is higher than ever.
Well, you've done it in your own music. As you've gotten older, you've brought audiences with you and others have not. What are you doing in terms of the model that's been shattered in music? You mentioned when you left the record label company, you saw you had to do certain things. How are you recreating a model that
for
can
one,
work
we're
in the
taking our
future?
time with artists and artist development. For two, there's just so many different parts of the business that we're in. For a long time, music wasn't into touring. Now they're making up these 360. I don't want this to be like a record company bashing thing, but now they're doing this
They
whole
bash themselves.
You can do it now. You couldn't have done it 20 years ago.
Yeah. This whole 360 model, and it's like that's not what the record company does. The record company is not in the touring business, so why would an artist sign rights to you, and that's not what you do? That's not your area expertise, but we're with the biggest concert promoter there is. So there's, we're into publishing. There's just so many different aspects of music. We're into more of it now, and we're getting better at it. Just to open up different avenues, to make ourselves successful.
So touring, clothing, and
touring,
also,
clothing, movies, publishing. Just.
I don't want to compete with him, Steve. No, I'm not interested yet.
But and then on the tours, you are wise enough or big enough for something where you don't mind sharing billing with Eminem or Bono.
Yeah, it's fun for me, for one, and for two, like we were saying in the car, like 1 + 1 is 3 for me. I don't have that ego where I have to be the only guy on the bill or the only one that people look at. I'm cool with going out with other artists. I've been doing it my entire career. Before Eminem, before Bono, it was R. Kelly or 50 Cent or DMX. I've been doing it my entire career. I just believe that the giving people a better package. That when they leave the concert hall, they want to come back again. You can get them there the first time. If what you're putting on is not incredible and impactful, then why would they come back the second time? I think that's a lot of people make that mistake, when they're hot at the moment, they just sell them they sell off the name and sell off the moment. Yeah, that the shiny things. You fall in love with
Right.
shiny things. You sell off the moment, and then when people come to the concert, they don't have the experience. Well, we're over delivering on the experience. You're not only getting Eminem, you're getting Eminem and Jay-Z. You're not only getting Bono, you're getting Bono and Jay-Z. You can't help but leave that concert, with almost like a once in a lifetime experience every single time. That's what I'm trying to create.
But Warren, you said you wouldn't want to compete against Jay. What advice would you?
He's super duper joking.
What advice would you have for a man who's succeeded in a business where it's often short-lived, being convulsed? How do you like to businesses where you say there's a moat where the competitors can't get you? What advice would you give on Jay building moats?
Well, he's building moats. I mean, all the time. I mean, obviously, and that's why he's succeeding, even though he's moved beyond the age that you normally associate his field with. So, the best moat you can have is your own talent. I mean, they can't take it away from you. Inflation can't take it from you.
Right.
Taxes can't take it from you. So, when I talk to students, I see these students and I tell them, you're $1 million asset. I would pay you $100,000 the MBAs for 10% of the earnings for the rest of your life. So that makes you $1 million asset. Now, if you can do something to increase that value 50%, if you can learn to communicate better verbally or in written form, and you become 50% more, that's $500,000 just by improving yourself. I mean, nobody can take that away from you. And so I urge everybody, when I talk to them in high school about this and colleges, just develop the habits. You've got the brain power, you got the energy, but develop the habits of success and look around you at the people that you admire, and list what makes you admire them compared to somebody else that looks equally strong or equally talented. And those are things that you can do. I mean, just write them down and people like people that they like them if they're humorous, if they're friendly, if they give credit to the other fellow. I mean, and they don't like them if they're stingy, or they overstate and overpromise and all those sort of things. Well, that's a decision you make. So I encourage everybody to build your own moat around yourself.
Jay, you have any advice you want to give to Warren on building moats?
I mean, what am I say to this guy, man?
He can do things I can't do. Believe me, I can't do anything.
He's a brilliant thinker.
This then gets to what is money for? You've greatly succeeded. You haven't made the mistakes that others made. You get a success, and then you let it destroy your discipline. In terms of there are only so many steaks we can eat, or hamburgers, or whatever. The value added, we'll start with you, Warren, maybe you can start this part of the conversation. The value added you always had was you could employ capital, multiply it, which meant more businesses, more people for pensions, more hiring. That was a great service. That was doing a real public good. Yet a few years ago, you decided you were going to do something in addition to multiplying capital, which meant opportunity and a higher standard of living.
Well, Steve, if you go back, really when I was in my 20s, I mean, it sounds obnoxious, but I really did know I was going to become rich. I mean, because I'd learned something that was going to work. And my wife and I decided then, I mean, she was 100% on board, my first wife, and on this. And we were going to enjoy life. We're going to have everything possibly use or need. But incidentally, I think a $5 dinner in many cases is better than a $100 dinner. So I think
with wine too.
Yeah, cost of living and standard of living are not necessarily the same. But I thought I would compound money at a rate well above average. And we decided we'd live well. We never denied ourselves anything. It meant independence, so I could do what I wanted to do. And then I felt one way or another it would go back to society. Now, I thought my wife would outlive me. She was a little younger, and women live longer than men. And she loved the actual process of seeing people with problems that money would help. And I loved the game I was in. So I thought we would, basically we'd pile it up and she would do the distribution of it. And she did a lot of it while she was alive, but the big money was going to be later on. And then she died while I was still alive. And then I had to make a decision. as to the best way to get this money spent in an intelligent way, relatively promptly. And I came up with the idea of splitting among 5 foundations, the largest of which is the Gates Foundation. And that was 4 years ago, and I couldn't be more pleased with the decision. I haven't denied myself anything. I mean, I eat everything I want. I travel any place I want.
Have you denied society something that the capital, if you keep employing it, might have done more good?
Well,
companies.
Berkshire's still around. I'm still running it. I mean,
I'm not doing so bad.
I'm making it still for the charities, but I'm making it for a lot of other people too. You know, so I didn't have to give up anything. I didn't have to give up what I love doing every day. I didn't have to give up any material thing in the world. And my 3 children are each involved with a foundation, which lets them put money behind their energies. And no, I think it's really worked out wonderfully for me. I mean, it's been a perfect solution. And you know, when my wife was pregnant, I didn't think I was going to deliver a baby, you know, and you know, if I get a toothache or something, I don't take out my own tooth. I turn it over. I follow Adam Smith's advice, you know, I turn it over to a specialist. And there's no reason to think that because I'm good at making money, that I would be the best necessarily at distributing it. I want certain goals in terms of how it's distributed, but I'm perfectly willing to turn it over to people who are going to spend their lives specializing in that. I want them to get it done promptly. And I want it to be in sync with the kind of things I want to support, but I don't think I have to do it myself.
Now, in terms of that, many times the foundation gets set up, and
goes off in a different direction.
And there's a thing called Parkinson's law, that an organization becomes self-centered, in for itself, and forgets its purpose that it was created for.
I see it all the time.
And you see it in business. That's why they go broke oftentimes. But in foundations, you see it. So you made a provision that was not going to happen with your funds. They had to be, those monies had to be employed, within 10 years?
10 years after my state's completed, yeah. And then the money has to all be spent. It can't go to institutions which in turn put it in their endowment or anything like that. I want people that I know and I know are in sync with me and I know will be true to certain ideals. I want them to dispense it, because who the hell knows 50 years from now, you know, when the place becomes some large institution, what will happen? People will rationalize then that what's good for the institution is exactly what old Warren thought, you know, 40 years ago on his deathbed. So I've seen that happen too often. Foundations are not tested by a market system. I mean, if you've got a business idea and he's got music, it's being tested by a market system. Whether people will make a decision with whether that next album is good, and they'll make a decision, you know, on whether Coca-Cola still keeps them happy and all that sort of thing. A foundation has no market test. So it's very easy, if there's not a market test, as people will find out in government and other places, it's very easy to start rationalizing things that are a long way from what originally people thought you were setting out to do.
And you were, in terms of, you're just beginning looking at charities, and you have a very unusual one, scholarship fund, Sean Carter Scholarship Fund. Describe it, and where do you think you see it going?
Yeah, for me, that the reason I focused on that, because such a small thing changed my life, right? A 6th grade teacher said, you know what, you're kind of smart. And I believed her. I said, I'm smart, right? So she gave me that sort of opportunity. She sparked the idea in my mind. So that's why my first thing is the scholarship fund, because there are a ton of very intelligent kids that's coming out of these urban areas who can make it all the way if given the opportunity. And so it's a challenge that I gave to my mom, and my mom is so involved with it. Like she gets on the bus and she takes these kids to their to interview with colleges. And, you know, now we're starting to see kids graduate from college, and, you know, that sort of feeling, you know, when it's real, you know, I'm not just sitting home writing a check and, you know, for whatever reason, to make myself feel good or anything like this. It's something that I really want to do, and I'm really, you know, into and excited about. So
it's effective philanthropy, in other words.
Right. I mean, I'm seeing the results. I'm seeing, you know, we're getting our first graduates from the Sean Carter Scholarship Program, which is, like, for me, the best thing ever.
And it seems like a contradiction. When you think of commerce, it's meeting the needs and wants of others. You provide the music, people like it, you do well, they get the pleasure. more on investment returns, good companies. And but yet in philanthropy, if you think about it, is almost the same opposite side of the same coin, meeting the needs and wants of others. A little different way of doing it. But again, as you say, it's not just writing a check, it's making sure it's actually delivering what it's supposed to deliver.
Right.
It's tougher than business too, Steve, because you're looking for easy things to do in business. I mean, you're looking, if people have liked drinking Coca-Cola for 100 years, they'll probably like it for another 100 years. It doesn't require any great brain power to figure that kind of thing out. But in philanthropy, often you're tackling the tougher problems of society. You're tackling things where people have applied money and intelligence before and haven't really solved the problem. I mean, education is a great example. So you're really taking on things where you're not going to succeed every time. And if you like succeeding every time, it's, you have to adjust to that. If you succeed 100% of the time in philanthropy, the projects are too easy. And you've got to look for things that are important and where you may fail. Right now, Gates is working on polio eradicating. They've got 99% of the way there, but the last 1% is very tough, and nobody knows for sure whether that will get done. We did it with smallpox in the past, and so it's a different mindset, and you don't get the same feedback you get in business either immediately.
That gets also to a universal thing, learning from mistakes. One of the things you do in your annual report, which has become a classic, is you will discuss what went wrong, like Dexter, and what you learned, and what you learned from it.
Sure.
Tough to do.
Well, it's very important to recognize mistakes. I mean, if somebody goes around and says, I never made a mistake, I mean, you quit listening to them. I mean, they're in a dream world. So facing up to it, it's a little like in terms of discussing issues, you should be able to discuss the other fellow's position just as well as you can discuss your own. So, I mean, that's part of thinking well, and certainly part of making good decisions in business is recognizing the poor decisions you've made and why they were poor. And that doesn't mean you never do the same thing. I mean, because sometimes it was a freak situation, but I have made lots of mistakes. I'm going to make more mistakes. But Babe Ruth struck out a lot of times. I mean, it's the name of the game that you do it. You don't want to expect perfection in yourself. You want to strive to do your best, but it's too demanding to expect perfection in yourself. And it does some good to recognize them and not start trying to go around kidding people about them.
Getting the message out. You've done a very high profile thing to get the message out on giving. Why and where do you think it's going to lead? And then I want to ask Jay, very different audience, how do you get the message out on the importance of philanthropy, on helping people so they can have the opportunities you had?
Absolutely.
Well, the way I got the message out was to get a copy of Forbes and look down that 400 list and start making phone calls.
Thank you.
And Bill Gates and Melinda did the same thing, and we've only called 80 or so people so far, and some of them I know, some of them I don't know. And amazing, we've gotten way better reception. To some extent, we high graded the mine, as they say in the mining business. So we picked people in many cases, but not all cases, where we knew that they had pretty strong philanthropic interest. But it was very low key, and we just asked them if they would sign a pledge, not legal but moral, that they would give away at least half of their net worth, either during their lifetimes or at death. And about half of the people that we called, maybe slightly over half, have said they'd be delighted. And we've asked them to tell their own story. And the stories are fascinating. I mean, how people got to that decision, how they evolved, how their family was involved in it, how maybe personal experiences had shaped that. But it was really very, very encouraging. I don't think you'd find that in any other society in the world other than the United States. And we'll see how far it goes, but it will go further. But even if it only went as far as it's gone, it will have an impact.
So you think that even those who were giving are now in effect in their minds upping it?
I think certainly in some cases, I know that's the case. And the very fact of getting involved and spending more time thinking about it, talking with your family more about it, I don't think it ever leads to reduced giving. And I think sometimes I've seen examples of it here. It's led to more. the real interesting thing will be is if it leads to smarter giving over time. We hope to get this group together once a year and talk about, again, mistakes. But then
Do you see the same kind of entrepreneurship we see in commerce, in philanthropy? I mean, there are a handful of large organizations, and except for Habitat for Humanity and a couple of others, they've been around for decades.
Yeah, there's some. It's harder to evaluate. It's not a market system.
Right.
I mean, you can't put out a P&L at the end of the year, and you can't measure things. You know, I don't believe in measuring quarterly results in business, but the timetable on many things is much longer in philanthropy. So it's not as easy a game to me as business, but it's an important game. And the fact that you can't do it perfectly does not mean that you should sit on the sidelines, and it does not mean you can't learn from others. I've already learned something from the 3 or 4 dinners we've had and talking to people, but the stories are interesting. People do things that are amazingly effective. They do things where they bomb for one reason or another. But we will have smarter philanthropy in this country 10 and 20 years from now, I think, than we have now. And I think in a small way, this will contribute to it. So keep publishing the list so I can milk it.
JJ will soon be on it. But Jay, in terms of philanthropy, obviously you're very much focused on your business right now, as Warren was on his for a long time. But how do you get the message out to a different audience that it doesn't have to even be dollars, it's time? And what your teacher did, taking you and showing you another world, or your mother getting you emotionally with your father in a way in which you could move forward in your life and improve your life.
Yeah, I think the first step for us, because we, as far as entertainers, we're like the first generation to really capitalize off our talent. For many years, artists they were dying broke because the record company took advantage of them in some way, form, shaping up. Right? This is like that really first generation. I mean, from where we're from. I'm not talking about the rock star. I'm not talking about Bono. So the first thing for us, for me, I believe, is to lead by example and show how these things have an effect on people's lives in a real way, and to tell that story of this is the neighborhood that made me, and I know there's future generation of stars in this neighborhood as well that we must help out as well. If given the opportunity, what someone can be if given the opportunity. So my first thing is to show by example, and then I'm gonna slowly pull a guy like me and Puff made the. I think we could have done more. I think we could have visited and been there closer, but we've made a huge pledge to, Katrina together. When we did that united front and we made a donation together, it showed hip hop that sort of power, how we can get together and do these sorts of things. So again, my first thing is to do it by example and show it how it works and show the example of how opportunities change people's lives, and we'll move forward from there.
And looking both forward and backwards, when you think of certain people of the past, like philanthropy, Andrew Carnegie, big steel man, first billionaire, but great public works, libraries. Warren, 50, 100 years from now, when people say Warren Buffett, what handful of words do you have come to mind?
They'll probably say Berkshire Hathaway. I hope it's still around and doing very well too. If it isn't, I'll come back and haunt him. No, what I've done has not been very complicated, or I followed somebody else's teachings. But what I really hope, if you could pick one word, it would be teacher. I mean, I got enormous amount. I mean, Jay has talked about his 6th grade teacher. I think almost anyone that's been successful has had a teacher, maybe not a formal teacher. I mean, it can be a parent, obviously, but somebody's had a teacher that's affected them. And if you can pass that along, I think that's better than money, actually.
Jay?
How? Man,
because in some senses you're a pioneer.
Yeah, I think a lot is, I hope to inspire, like I guess Obama took this thing already, but you know, just the hope of, you know, how far we can make it, and the hope of, you know, if you really apply yourself and stay true to who you are, you know, how far you can come from where you come from, you know, because my sort of success, I mean, where I'm from is like,
Jay is teaching all the time. I mean,
Right.
he's teaching a lot bigger classroom than I'll ever teach, and it's it's important. I mean,
Right.
they're going to learn from somebody. You know, a young person growing up, and you know, he's the guy to learn from.
So just the hope, you know, and hope.
I think that's crucial, especially as people begin to recognize, yes, you're a fantastic artist, but unlike artists of the past, you also knew how to take control of your destiny by learning about business, learning about distribution, all the innards of production, so that you weren't going to lose what you created.
Right.
Right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Steve.
you.
I just had to go on ahead, man, and show y'all that, man, drop that whole interview for you guys. And I'm sorry that that was impromptu, right? But for those who needed to see that, that was huge. I'm trying to tell y'all something right now. We are going somewhere in the direction with this leverage show, right? And the direction that I'm helping you guys get to. I'm just, Lambo just doesn't get out here and say something that is trying to tickle your ears and all of this stuff and trying to entertain you. No, I am actually showing you how to walk and maneuver in life so you can get the best results you need by learning from some of the best, right? I talk about all the stuff that they were talking about on here all the time. Like I literally talked about, and even yesterday we were talking about a charity, right? We were talking about, and I told you guys about the Teddy Bear Cancer Foundation, right? And how charities, you know, there was a reason why Lambo brought that up, right? And if you understand how to be able to structure, you heard Jay-Z talked about structuring his business into a trust, right? Then you heard Buffett and Jay-Z talking about giving, right? Like this is principles of the lifestyle if you want to contain and continuously put yourself into position so you can take advantage, right, of the opportunity when it comes your way. Lambo is just not here just to be talking. I'm sorry that that video took almost an hour, but y'all needed to see it. And it's the Leverage Show anyway. Listen, it's Finance Fridays. I'm always trying to make sure you guys are leveling up. That changed Jay-Z's life. Jay-Z before then, you can go look it up, in 2014, was only $500-600 million. He had since then has had a relationship now, a partnership with Warren Buffett, where they actually got a chance to go one-on-one to ask some questions, right, with each other and talk away from that. And Warren Buffett from that point showed him how to scale. Jay-Z right now is worth $2.5 billion, almost $3 billion. He shot himself not just into the billionaire status, which a lot of people don't understand that is really hard to get to just because the way technology is changing, the economy changes, and so many other different things, right? They've got people right now, I'm not lying to you, man. 10 years ago, they were 600, 700 million. They're still 600-700 million a day. Some artists, you know, and movie stars, you know, 10 years ago, they were 200 million, 300 million. They're still 200, 300 million today. Nothing has changed, right? And so when people are saying like, oh, well, my gosh, you know, I'm looking at some of these amazing people. Well, there has to be a change. You have to have people that do something different. And most of the time, the people who are doing something different is the team that you hire around you, the relationships that you hire around you. When I looked at this interview, I remember vividly that's 10 years ago. That was in 2014. You fast forward later, some people seen, and Jay-Z took flack over this over the weekend for defending his wife Beyonce on the awards, which any man should do. And he took flack about that. But at that point, he's standing there with his daughter on stage. His net worth now has went 4 times what it was since that interview, since that partnership. He couldn't wait to go ahead and sit down, to go ahead and talk and do that. And then they compare and contrast. So what you guys see was a compare and contrast. You guys never seen them meeting away from that. And Jay-Z talked about that, them meeting away from that, and how that one sit down changed his life. 60 minutes. And then having a partnership behind that. See, the thing about it is that we don't revalue relationships. We value what he says, the shiny things. And you guys, he kept referring to it over and over and over again. And most people don't know right now, like, what happened? What was the big transition that really shifted, right? A lot of people don't know that Jay-Z actually took partnership with Live Nation, right? So a lot of people are thinking, like, what's Live Nation? What's going on? Most people don't know that Live Nation, the concerts that people actually go to pay their ticket price, is owned by Jay-Z. And they go to a concert unaware, not knowing what it is. You understand? Like, hey, I'm just going to a concert. That strategy is some of the things that him and Warren Buffett, one of the richest men here in the entire world, one of, is actually sitting down talking about. Strategizing moving forward. You see, the thing about it is that we take information from the wrong people or try to conceive it our own way. And then when it doesn't work out, we're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? What's going on? You know, you're feeling some sort of way because things are not working out, rather than you're positioning yourself to really take information and wisdom from the right people, right? And I talked about trust, when I talked about foundations, when I talked about charities, when I talked about giving, when I talked about investing in some of the things, Jay-Z said I had to step away from just the record itself, the record label itself. That industry itself has its own business. Like you say, oh man, they're all out there making millions, right? Off of us. They're making millions off of us. What did you need to find was the strategy to get into the flow. And most people, that's what they need. They need a strategy where they're at right now, currently in life. And so they look at their life based off of where they're at, right? And they say, yeah, this looks pretty good over here. Let me do this, right? And this was, and I had to go to sleep, you know, after all those meetings last night, right? And I'm laughing because I go back to the days, and I get back to the comments in a minute. I go back to the days where, you know, people wouldn't even pay $50 or $20 for my expertise and help. I go back to those days. And after having the conversation yesterday, 3 hours with one great influencer, man, he will be on this show. Don't worry about it. I'm going to have you on the show, and I'm excited. And as I'm talking with you guys, another huge person, while this whole video is going on, is actually messaging me personally back and forth, right, on some stuff that's going on, who's really killing it out here in the game. And I'm laughing because I look at yesterday, I look at today, I look at where we are heading to, where the Leverage Show keeps heading to, where I keep elevating you guys to, because there's some amazing things, right? And I remember not being able years ago to be in the same table or the same calls or the same rooms with some of these great people, because I didn't have the education, the knowledge, the wisdom, the value that I now possess, that I can bring to the table. And we're able to go on ahead and have these conversations. That blesses me so much. That blesses me so much, man. Y'all just don't understand why that actually really allows me to get into the place that I'm at. And when I say this, you know, where I have people, when they come to me, they say, Lambo, I need you to help me solve. This is not solving a small situation, right? Because the levels that you are compensated at, or the problems that you are willing to solve and bring solutions and answer tos on higher levels, right? Straight up. So when I tell people this, I say, hey man, whatever level that you are on, I can meet you there. I can help you out. I'm pretty sure we can strategize. We can get there, right? So when I get bombarded with questions and answers and people trying to get information, right? Saying, man, Lambo, we trying to leverage this. They're coming to me, man. Lambo, I need you to help me solve a 6 and 7 figure or 8 figure problem, some 9 figure problems. I need you to help me solve that. That is based up off of the level that I have been exposed to be able to have the right relationships and partnerships that allow me to help assist people get to their next level, because there is a need there. And because that need can actually help change the scope of so many people in that pipeline. See, the thing about it is that when you took a look at that video, was almost an hour. You guys seen Jay-Z and Warren Buffett meeting up. Jay-Z knew if I ever got into the presence, he wanted that interview, and most people don't know that. He wanted that interview because of the relationship that would be performed. And the thing about it is that most of us run away from all the healthy relationships that can help us out. And we gravitate to the relationships that will continuously pull us down and not allow us to go forth in life. So when I told you, before I showed you this video about the mentorships and people actually taking mentorships, and I say, man, I'll pay for the right mentorship in a minute, because that's access. That's access. When Jay-Z offered, and I told him either $500,000 or a dinner with Jay-Z, right? People are like, I would take the money. Jay-Z ain't God. He ain't Jesus. And I'm sitting there looking at him like, now here it is. Here it is. A man who has quadrupled his network and who is on the Forbes list. Before that 2014 video that I just shown you between Warren Buffett and Jay-Z, Jay-Z was nowhere near on the billionaire Forbes list. He was on a Forbes list for one of the richest hip hop artists. Straight up. He had net worth about 600-700 million at that time. So it wasn't like he was just some pushover. 600-700 million at that time. To this day, he's almost at $3 billion. 10 years later. What changed? What stops people from going to the next level? What stops people from really scaling up to the next level? Do you guys remember? This is a true story. Go look it up if I'm lying to you. And some of you guys already know this. Jeff Bezos, right? Who owns Amazon, right? Jeff Bezos, a few years ago, suffered relationship damage. He went through a divorce. I'm getting ready to give something to y'all right now, right? At the time, Jeff was worth, if I'm not mistaken, $70 billion. $70 billion. His wife took half, $35 billion. Go look it up. Go look it up. Everybody was clowning Jeff Bezos. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. She done took everything. His wife donated to Goodwill and charities $17 billion out of that $35 billion. She donated $17 billion, right? It's like, oh, I'm gonna donate $17 billion to charities. It was her laughing, right? This is her laughing, like, I got half of his money. Richest divorce in history. Richest divorce in history. Statistically proven. Go look it up. Everything I'm talking about, I'm backing it up. She gave $17 billion to charity out of the $35 billion she had. So she kept like $17, $18 billion, right? Whatever the case may be. So in her head, she's like, yeah, I can give this money away. You know, hey, I didn't just want it. I'm gonna survive over this. Everybody thought it was the end of Jeff Bezos. Like, oh man, he just suffered the biggest. How's he gonna bounce back from $35 billion going her way for a divorce? Now he's only stuck with $35 billion. What is Jeff Bezos? Fast forward years later. What is Jeff Bezos' net worth today? Does anybody know? Anybody know? Give me a wild guess of what Jeff Bezos' net worth today is. Crazy. Give me a wild guess. And I'll get through these comments in a minute. Jeff Bezos' current net worth is almost $200 billion. It's almost $200 billion. So you mean to tell me, and at one time it was even higher than that. So at Amazon, it was Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk going back and forth, if you guys remember, right, for that top spot. And they were like at 200-something million a piece, man, right? It was 200-something million a piece, and each one was going back and forth, right? And Elon Musk just shot up there too. So you mean to tell me a man who suffered public embarrassment, right? And the ex-wife saying this was like a shot thrown to his face. Straight up. Y'all want me to talk or talk? I'm gonna give y'all truth or truth. Pick one. And public embarrassment is like, yeah, I'm gonna give away $17 billion out of the $17 billion that I got off. Technically a tax write-off too. Because you can give it into a foundation, and you heard Jay-Z and Warren Buffett talk about that as well. Foundations and charities. People know how to move money, how to go ahead and structure your business right. If you know how to do it the right way, you'll make serious money out here. When it was the public embarrassment, when he thought he would never go ahead and bounce back from it. How's he going to bounce back from that? Yeah, $70 billion at the time. It was a $35 billion, $35 billion divorce settlement. And then Jeff Bezos turns around. COVID hits. True story. Look it up. You ain't got to ask me. Do your homework. COVID hits. And in the middle of what's supposed to be the roughest, oh my gosh, I just lost my divorce, just had this divorce. She took me for half. I done lost $35 billion. She tried to go ahead and take a shot and donate $17 billion to charity, right? Like, that's just my money. I'm just going to give it away to charity. That's supposed to be a shot from him. I'll take the 17 billion myself. I'm fine. I'm going to go ahead and I'm left because I just gave away half of the money that I was awarded to me. And it was a shot thrown to his face, supposedly. No one just gives away half of their divorce winnings. No one gives away half of their divorce winnings. Straight up. There was a shot thrown to his face. Like, yeah, I'm going to give this away to charity. Bezos come back. $35 billion. He collectively increases his net worth. You got to look it up to me. Look it up. Almost 7 times of what he's worth after the divorce. on the 7 times. Because what he understood is business. He understood business. He understood that, yeah, the world may be laughing at me now, but I'm getting ready to go ahead and make a shift. And what they're laughing at today, they're going to be definitely, man, crying over tomorrow. Like, how in the world did he do it? Wiping their eyes right from their face. How did Jeff do it? How did he turn, which had been the biggest recorded divorce in history? Shame on him. Shame on him. Shame on him. And then turn around and flipping his net worth after the divorce 7 times. 7 times he flipped it. And you still crying? You still crying that you took a loss from a job, or a loss from a business, or a loss from a platform, or a loss from some bad investment. You still crying today that you took that loss and you haven't even scaled. You haven't put the right strategy around you and people around you and relationships around you to scale. That is where you went on ahead and you messed up. You have to understand that relationships and partnerships and strategies, put the right team around you if you really want to go to the next level. You can't do it alone. And that's the strategy that most people have been saying, well, I'm trying to do this alone. I'm trying to do this alone. I got this. I got this. Evidently, you don't got it. Evidently, you do not have it. Look at the results where you currently are at right now. Evidently, you don't have it. It's out of your control right now. And right now, you really need to go ahead and seek help. Because if you don't seek help, you're either going to be in a worse position you currently are right now. Because when things get tougher, things get harder, things get tough for you to move, I promise you, it's not getting ready to go good for you. So you really need to learn to say, you know what, you're right, Lambo. I got to put the right people around me. I got to put the right systems around me. I got to put this around me. I got to put that around. You have to hire the right help to scale. Even if that means cutting some people loose. Even if that means taking them all the way in your speedboat to what I call Cutthroat Island and dropping them off. Some of y'all got to take them to Cutthroat Island. Drop them off. Hey, sorry. I love you, but I love me more. And I love my future more. I love the people. I think some things I got to do. And right now, the things that I'm doing, it's not the place that I see in my head. It's not what I've been dreaming about. It's not what I've been thinking about. It's not on my vision board. It's not what I have been really knowing internally for myself where I am purpose and designed to be at in my life. I get it. I get it. I totally get it. Right? Most of everybody is trying to figure it out. Lambo, you're right. We get on here, man, so you can, and it's the thing, man. This is the thing. This is what the Leverage Show is for. I'm here not to beat down on you. I'm here to help build you up. You know how they, and I have been around people that do the exact opposite. They beat down on people rather than help build them up. The Leverage Show, we don't carry that energy to beat down on you. We have the energy in the flow of this show and the guests and all the people and everything that comes to this show to help build you up. Because we really want to see you succeed. I really want to challenge you, expose you to some things that's just not the norm. So when you start seeing the market conditions change, you start seeing this change, you start seeing that change, you're able to say, you know what, Lambo? Oh my gosh, thank you. You're right. You're 100% right. The light finally clicked. I kept watching the show. I kept coming. I kept sitting there looking at things. I kept getting challenged. And I seen what was working, what didn't work. And I adjusted. You guys are going to see in this life, whether you hear it from my voice or you don't hear it from me, there are going to be things, people, and moments and opportunities that help take you to the next level. But you're going to have to take advantage of it. You're going to have to seize the opportunity. And if you don't seize that opportunity, the opportunity will cease to exist anymore. That's what Lambo is here for you guys. That's why I just really want to, and I didn't mean to pop that in. I seen, Blue Sky's comment, and I thought about it, and I was sitting in there thinking like, well, you know what? I might as well go ahead and pull this out because this is what this is about. I'm here to help you guys to get to this level, wherever that you truly desire to go. Everybody has a dream, a desire, something that they would want to do in life. What is yours? That's what this Leverage Show is about. This Leverage Show is about showing you the roadmap and the tools and everything that you need to do to get there. And not just when you get there, how to manage it when you get there. That's what this is about. I want you to manage it when you get, like, man, how are they so dominant? Why they keep scaling like they keep scaling? Who's been in their ear? Who's been showing them not only in everything could you have it, but when you have it to get there and keep scaling? Do anybody know the boxer Mikey Garcia? The Hispanic boxer, Mikey Garcia. Let me know if you know who Mikey Garcia is. He's the Hispanic boxer, right? He went 40-0 before he lost his 2 fights. In the last 2 fights, I know one of the last 2 fights he lost, his first fight he ever lost was against Errol Spence. Everybody knows Errol Spence. Before Errol Spence lost his first fight against Bud Crawford. Shout out to Bud Crawford. And that was just as recently, the last few months, within the last year, he lost to Bud Crawford, one of the biggest fights. Mikey Garcia. Shout out to Mikey, man. Mikey Garcia, just amazing guy, man. If you don't know the Spanish boxer, Mikey Garcia, you got to go, follow him and see what he's doing. Mikey Garcia, most boxers retire. And when they retire, they just don't go on ahead, man, and kind of do things that they should do. Whether it's boxers, whether it's sports athletes, doesn't matter whether you play football, basketball, baseball, soccer. Most of the time when they transition from their sports and they finally retire, when they let it all go, most of the time they can't handle the financials. They can't handle the finances. Mikey Garcia was different. Mikey Garcia, when he was at his prime, and this is so big to some of y'all, and y'all gonna see it when you get to that next level. You're gonna be like, man, Lambo, you're 100% right. Thank you for that, man. I'm trying to tell y'all this right now. When you're on your way up, climbing out of your pit, this is the most powerful thing I ever heard. When you're climbing out of your pit and you're digging your hands in the mud, remember this one thing. Take enough mud with you to build a ladder. Take enough mud with you on your way up out of that pit to build a ladder. It's like, Lambo, what is he talking about, man? When you're out of that pit of debt, and you're digging yourself out of that pit of debt, and you're digging yourself out of that pit of problems, issues, weight loss, you're digging yourself out of that pit of not enough to more than enough. Build you a ladder on the way up. Start molding that ladder. I'm giving you something right now that's just going to help you out. Build you a ladder on the way up. So when someone else is coming out of their pit, same pit that you've been in, they'll look at the ladder that you built that started hardening up, and they're able, instead of slipping down from it being so much mud, to take that ladder one step at a time to get out of that pit. That'll be the ladder that you have built with your own bare hands, your own sweat and blood, your own tears, building that ladder to help somebody else get up. So when someone else comes up behind you, and you're able to stand at the top of that pit and look back down of that ladder that you have built, just remember, it was because you thought about someone else when you were climbing out of that pit that you decided to help build a ladder to help get them out of their pit. That's the mentality of leaders. Leaders just don't have a mentality when you're getting yourself out from your pit and out of your place where you have not been productive and you know you should be at a higher level. You don't just go on ahead and get yourself out. Leave the ladder behind and see who's willing to come up higher. See who's willing to go to the next level. Because I promise you, if you do it, there'll be somebody else behind you who will be so thankful that you left a ladder to help them get out of their pit so they can make it to their promise. It's Lambo's job to help you. I get back to the wonderful comments right now, but I just wanted to thank you. Blue Sky says, how will having much impact your character, who you are with, who you are much with little? Facts. Let's have proper stewardship over it all. That's what we've been blessed with. Yes. Money is a tool. Love people, use money. Yes. Decide to be a helper and not a hoarder. We just talked about that. Expect to receive value. Be prepared to share solutions. Always stay leveraged. Thank you, Blue Sky. Blue Sky be on it, man. She be in there, man. This is going to be an exciting Financial Friday. Peace and love to you all. Thank you for that, man, Blue Sky. I really appreciate you. Blue Sky is always just on here, man, showing so much love, man, and really going on ahead and doing this thing. My guy Murph is in the building. Shout out to you, Murph. Murph saying, let's go. Queen Johnson, Blue Sky, IC, LA Law, Leverage Your Family. What's good? Loving to see that, man. My guy, Unlimited Freedom, is in the building. Limited Freedom should be on this call right now. I'm sitting there looking at it. Shout out to you. I didn't get to you earlier, man. But you already know. Please make sure you guys go like and subscribe to my guy Unlimited Freedom's channel, who's really killing the game on YouTube. That's what he does. Not just that. When you get a chance to know him personally, he is an amazing coach personally who's killing the binary options game. He's killing it. He's killing the game. His show comes on 1 hour later than my show on Finance Fridays. And he usually always taps in right before his show. up until like the very last second minute, and then he launches live, and then he's already on it. I already know right now, I ain't even got to look at it. He's killing it on this show right now. I already know that. He's just like me. And I love Unlimited Freedom because we don't care about what people think, what we're going to think about us. You're going to think about it. You're going to say what you're going to say about us. We personally care. We're in here to go ahead and to be us, authentic, and be truthful. Because at the end of the day, when you see real, truthful, and authentic people who can care less what you think, right? Because we're in here to help people, not help ourselves. We're in here to help people. That allows us to keep helping you build to the next level. And if I can help you get to your next level, I've done my job. I've done my assignment. Limited Freedom, he is one of them. I'm telling you right now, man, he is, when this was back in December, I'm telling you this right now, for the event, right? And we were in DC, and the guys, everybody knows, man, Unlimited Freedom, people were looking like, who is this Unlimited Freedom? And Lambo, why are you talking about this guy, Unlimited Freedom, like this? And I was so glad that he came to come meet us, right? And I remember he sent me the message like the week before or 2 weeks before the December the 1st for the Core 4 event. And he says, Lambo, I'm going to be there. I want to let you know, man, I bought my ticket. I really want to thank you. Man, that made my Saturday, right? And everybody else who purchased the ticket, I'm so glad you came out. And when he got there, I seen him. He sent me a message. He said, Lambo, I'm in town. I said, really? I said, man, I can't wait. Now, remember, I had just seen him in August. We took the family road trip, and we were driving through St. Louis, right? We took a 2-week road trip. We were stopping in St. Louis, and me and Unlimited Freedom did a podcast together. I mean, literally stopped in the middle of that. He said, Lambo, I just need an hour. Just give me an hour. And we stopped. And I literally gave him, man, it was like an hour, literally maybe in some change. And we shot a whole entire video. Got to go back and check that out. I even posted it on the show. He even posted it on this show and got it pinned in his comments. You guys need to go ahead and see that video. And from that point on, I mean, just the love and everything that he did for me and my family, and even gave us a little to-go package and welcome package. It was amazing. Shout out to you, Vaughn. It was even a more stronger brotherhood. And we were already close. That was my guy. When we got to the DC event, and I got a chance to talk with him again, Vaughn sat in the back. Shout out next to Team Crafting, Julie and Jeremiah. He sat next to me. He didn't sit up in the front. He wasn't the first one on the first seat. He was in the back, sitting back there. He was chilling. And shout out to so many people that we got a chance to meet at the event. Everybody knows if I personally got a chance to meet you, I'm so thankful. And I remember telling Vaughn, I said, Vaughn, you're going to kill this at the next event. You're going to be on stage. So I'm telling you what I know. I say the value that you have. Vaughn could tell you if I'm lying. And I know he's doing the show right now. He'll go back and see the review and see and everything, man. We talk about this. And I remember telling him, I said, dude, you are going to kill this next show. Because it's going to be amazing what you bring to the table. A lot of people don't even know. They remember seeing him from a distance or seeing him on the Leverage Show when he came on the Leverage Show, and they seen him like, man, I remember seeing you guys together. That's Unlimited Freedom. I'm like, yeah, he's going to kill the game because of what he knows, the information, and especially binary options. That I've seen a lot of people in that, but killing that game and binary options, he's going to kill the game. Vaughn has been just that and more. I remember sitting across, people were going out that Sunday, right? True story. And I'm sitting across in my room. My wife, she's sitting right there on the bed, and we still, because we didn't leave till like that Monday. Everybody else was leaving out. Like 90% of the people, 95% of people left out that Sunday. The event was Friday night. We had a meet up, me and Vaughn. We met the Friday night. I got a chance to meet some amazing other people. I met Murph that night. Shout out to Murph and everything. It was the first time meeting him. I met Steven, which is Crypto Gambler, that night. And then, of course, my crew was there. Jamal Titus, Kennard Haney, man. Sean Hill was there. We got a chance to meet Tracy Hughesy was there. Shout out to T Huge, man. I'm talking about that night, man. That when he first met people that night, and it was amazing. And then I got a chance to meet Dion that night, Don that night, Maurice was there that night, Isidro was there that night. We got a chance to meet all of these people that night. Golly, who else was there, man? I mean, this is Lambo's memory. Because the next day is when I met Larry and which is Seeker of Knowledge, right? Well, and Larry's been my guy. Everybody know, man. Me and Larry been real tough. I've seen Larry more times last year, and him and his wife actually came here to Denver to celebrate the birthday more than anything. And right next to Larry was, oh my gosh, I could see the name. It's Larry's buddy. It's Larry's buddy, man. I can see the name and can't even think of his face right now. And then, yeah, around that table, there was just so many people, man. And then we got a chance to meet my guy. I met everybody. I met Luke, Big Luke that night. Keith as well. Keith Lakeman was there, as well as, now I'm just talking about the people that we were meeting, right? Vividly meeting, right? Man, this guy his name is gonna haunt me because I'm just sitting in here just like, dude, I can see his face. I can see his name. I mean, and I just can't even pronounce it, but it's Larry's friend, man, my guy Larry's friend. But he actually knows Coach as well, and so many amazing people, man. And that night, I remember Vaughn telling the story that night, true story. And Vaughn got the chance to tell the story, and Vaughn's telling the story to everybody else. He's like, man, Lambo changed my life. I really want to thank you, man. My wife thanks you. I've made more money with you. That has been insane. I really want to thank you. And he's sharing the story in front of everybody. Everybody's gathered around, right? It was an amazing time. And I said, man, listen, brother. I said, I'm just happy, man, just to go on here and just be your friend, brother. Just to know you as an individual. And he's sharing this amongst everybody. And I'm just like, brother, you killed the game. You've earned it. You've earned it. We go in business. We do some stuff together, man. I promise you, you're definitely going to see some great numbers. He bought the beach house now that is in, I won't say where it's at, but he bought his beach house right now because of those plays that we were able to get him hold of. Shout out to Vaughn, brother. And I told him he was going to kill it. So the next day, that Sunday after the event, I called Vaughn up. He was on his way heading back at the airport, heading back to St. Louis. And we're on the phone. I called everybody. Matter of fact, everybody who was on that platform with me, and I had your number, well, I sent you a message personally. So that was my guy CPMD. He already knew we was going to talk. Definitely Coach Rashid. Me and Coach Rashid, we hung out the very next day. Anthony Deloach, he already know, man, me and him talk. Anthony was already back home. He was like, Lambo, look, I'm back home already by the time I called him. I didn't even know he had left that early and stuff. Croc, everybody know Passive Income Croc, man, my guy. We talked. That's my guy. And then as well as me sending messages to James Bishop, Chris Pulver, Ahmed Hazel already know that's my guy, man. We was going to be there. And as well as James Bishop, Chris Pulver, Ahmed Hazel, and Terrence Pounce was there that night and stuff like that too. So we got a chance to talk. So everybody that was actually on that program and the fellas that we were sitting next to, we got a chance to talk. And Jackson, of course, Jackson Armstrong and stuff like that. We were able to talk, and I personally thank them, like each one of them. Personally, at Lambo, this is reaching out. I'm that person that when you see it, like he's that person genuine through and through. I'm gonna reach out. And then tried to thank everybody else who I met and personally came that was there. And y'all come sit down, come take lunch with me, come take pictures. Let's talk. I'm gonna hang out as long as you can. Me and Murph was out there hanging out to 4 a.m. in the morning, right? Till your eyelids, people's eyelids couldn't even go ahead and keep up. I want to talk with you guys. That's Lambo. That's honestly, you don't do this for the camera and do this for the applause of people. You do this because the people who are there and the people who support you and the people who love what you do can't wait to go on ahead and spend time with you. And that's where we're at. We were at. And then we had the big meeting with all the other people. Man, that Friday night was amazing. But that Sunday, I remember sitting across from, shout out to my guy, Brandon. I remember sitting across from Brandon. And I was telling Brandon at the conference, after the conference, it's me and my wife. It's Brandon and his wife. And I think Coach Rashid hadn't even walked up yet, right? Because we talked for hours. It was just us five talking for hours that Sunday. And I remember telling Brandon, I said, BA, so let me tell you something about unlimited freedom. That guy is the truth. And I remember him saying, huh? I said, dude, I'm telling you what I know. Vaughn is a whole dog himself. He is a beast. I'm telling you what I know. And I remember his face kind of questioning me like, Lambo, are you sure we're talking about the same guy? I said, bruh, I'm telling you right now, Vaughn is definitely going to be the most instrumental person when it comes to Core 4 and the values and what they're doing. That's going to blow your mind. I say, you don't need a lot of pieces. You got pieces already right here. You got Chris, you got James already killing it. You got Ahmed, he's going to do his thing with mortgage notes, man, and all of that, man. You got Coach Rashid is definitely giving out wonderful wisdom when it comes down to things. You got Anthony Deloach when it comes down to YouTube and anything that's scaling. You got CPMD is definitely, he's a mastermind when it comes to crypto and getting in and out, man. And India is killing it, man. Then Rob Gordon, shout out to Rob being a great MC and stuff like that and doing some. I mean, you got a core wonderful people around. And then shout out and everything to my guy Stan Richardson, who was there, who was another beast from the bust of the Bentley, which he'll be on the show soon. So too, you guys stay tapped into that. And I was telling him, I said, you got so many great people around you right now. It's going to blow your mind. And what he has done since then, he's added to that, to Core 4. It's amazing. And when I told him, I said, watch what Vaughn brings to the table. Watch what unlimited freedom brings to the table. Watch what happens when you're able to sit down one-on-one and see what happens, what he can teach you. That was the 3rd of December. 3rd of December. Because the conference is on December 1st, December 2nd. That was December the 3rd. Right now, I'm telling people, if you guys remember about a month or two ago, I even went on ahead and raffled off one of Vaughn's courses for binary options. And Truth Media won it. Shout out to you, Truth Media. Right now, Brandon sends me a text, a week or so ago. And he says, Lambo, I just want to let you know you were right. Vaughn is killing it. He's killing it. Well, I watch the shows Sundays as well, so I know Vaughn is killing it. And I said to myself, me and Vaughn, you got to remember, a lot of us don't get a chance to talk very much, like pick up the phone and talk or send a text. And just the business that we're in, when we get a chance to talk or we get a chance to see you, most people throughout the week, the most that they're ever going to see me is on this broadcast. The most that they're ever going to hear from me is on this broadcast. Because the other time is always tied up, taking care of other clients and doing business, right? That's straight up. Most people be like, oh man, Lambo, we couldn't get a hold of you. I mean, brother, it's no disrespect, but I mean, if you look at the calendar and you see what's going on and you look at the time slides and everything else, it's like, I'm already running on fumes to get people back to back to make sure that we can talk with them and get them into the schedule. And then making time when I shouldn't be making time, on times that, hey man, I got to spend the time with my family, but now I got to go into this amount of time to go talk with the client just to go sit down and go talk with them. I'm taking time away from my family to do that. which 5 days out the week should be justifiable. But, you know, I mean, it is what it is. So when I said that Vaughn would be that one to get that text a week ago, Lambo, you was right. He's killing it. I love Vaughn. He's killing it. And I told him, I said, I know for a fact what would happen if the right people in the right places were around the right people to come together to really be able to form something that's longevity and that's growing. It would blow their minds. They love Coach Vaughn, and I love his energy. And I told Vaughn, I told him verbatim on December the 3rd, that Sunday morning. I said, when you be out here and they get exposed, and I've been telling people about you, don't you change. Don't you change the factor. Keep that same energy. I don't need you to dumb that down. I need you to keep that same energy. No one can tell you. The Lambo ain't lying. And I think what happens is that we don't give flowers to people and everything, man. The right flowers to people on the way they should. But Vaughn, you get all of those flowers and then some because you put the work in, my dude. You kept the flame to the fire and you kept holding people accountable and telling it like it was, brother. Keep doing what you do, brother, because I truly appreciate what you are doing and you're making a big impact on people's lives around the world. Thank you, brother. Salute to you, full Vaughn. I got to tap into Unlimited Freedom. You don't tap into that channel, you're missing out. You don't get into that course he's got, you're missing out. I'm telling you what I know. C.A. Mercer, Blue Sky, you already on it. Let's rock. Let's go. Happy Friday, family, to my wonderful, beautiful wife, man. Shout out to my baby in the building, man. Getting it in, man. Blue Sky, talking to love to Mrs. Johnson, man. Congrats, Mirth, on living your best life. Tina Turner, simply the best. Cheers, Mirth. Oh, boy, I love the Leverage Show family, boy. Y'all be on it, man. Happy Friday, family. Issa's in the building, showing love. I tell you, man. Issa, you see what we got to deal with on here, man. I love this family, bro. I truly love y'all. Y'all are something else. Blue Sky, you are always living your best life, man. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Murph responding back. I see showing love to Mrs. Johnson, Blue Sky, and Murph. He already know what time it is. Blue Sky said, you want to remain a slave or do you want to get to his channel? Unlimited Freedom. Yes. Please get to my guy Unlimited Freedom channel. I'm trying to tell you, it's amazing. I see you going higher. Let's go, man. Let's go. This is what I love, man. I love this, man. I'm trying to tell you, man. This is it. Those APR deals are something else. Yes, they are. I talked about those APR deals. You're actually making passive income off of APR deals, which I'm trying to tell y'all this right now is insane. I had never heard of that concept up until yesterday, and that people could make 10 to 12% with an actual bank off of someone else's loans, off of their APR. Never knew the bank sells people's APR, and you physically know everything about that whole entire person, where you can invest. A minimum investment to come in is $50,000 for that. But that's real bank-to-bank transactions. The bank puts the money into your account. This ain't no platform, crypto, and all this other stuff, man. Straight bank-to-bank, and billionaires have made money off of this, of buying your loans that you sign your wet signature on all the time. So, yeah, I can't wait to go ahead and drop that play for y'all and show y'all how to get in to seriously make some serious money for the longevity of time. I ain't talking about stopping. I'm talking about longevity. Blue Sky say, Lambo, this is real talk. I see people paying a lot of money just to be in the same room with certain people. I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but is there value there? Facts. You got to ask yourself, is there value? Right? This is true story. I don't even want to even get into it. I'm talking yesterday, 3 hours with one guy that people have paid serious money to be around. and I'm not lying to you, this is a true story. The value he can bring and drop within 30 minutes of just if he charges, no lie, if he charges 10,000 to 20,000 for 1 hour, it's worth every penny. I mean, and then some. I mean, and then some. I mean, and then some. It's worth every penny. I promise you, that's the difference. I've had people who can't get you out of a wet paper bag because the value of really sitting down across from them, they can't strategize to get you, but they talk. They talk a great game, and they start talking about there's really nothing to really do with business. They just be out there just talking. I'm like, man, this ain't nothing to do with business, nothing to do with a strategy, they're in there talking about their jet and talking about they're talking about a jet that they don't even have. Let's get this right first off. Most of the time, they're getting the jet brokered in, straight up. So they're getting, or even jet cards, or trying to go ahead and so they may get a jet rental, right? Twice a year, shoot a video, and you're sitting there like, oh man, they got a jet. No, they just chartered a flight on a jet twice, shot a video, and then all of a sudden you saying they got a jet. They ain't got no connections to it at all, but a bill. And some of them have paid 20, 30,000, 40,000, for a one way, just to go ahead and show y'all, well, hopefully this is going to attract people. And then you go jump into $40,000, $50,000 mentorship with them, right? And they can't even go ahead and tell you what they did. Yeah, I got a jet. You really do got a jet. Can you let me know what the jet is? No, you got a jet bill. Let's get this right. You got a private plane bill. That's what you did. You didn't get no jet. And then they'll have the cars parked in the driveway. And the cars that they have parked there show you the exotic cars, and you're like, oh my gosh, look at this, they got an exotic. No, they got it on the lease. They didn't even get it on the note. They got it on the lease. Y'all don't want me to go here. Some of them, they got it on a rental when you guys came there, and then when you left, they had to take it back because they was renting it for a day or two to try to get out there and impress you. That boy said the most magical line possibly I've ever known. Shout out to Benny the Butcher. People who don't even know who this is. Benny the Butcher says, man, showing people how to turn a Ford to a Wraith. I'm giving y'all game because I really want to see you guys happen. Most people can't show you how to turn a Ford to a Wraith. They can't show you that. They can't really give you the necessary steps to get one and maintain one and cash flow one. They can't tell you. Can't tell you. But then you will sit down. You will swear on everything. Everything that they're doing, because they're giving you, that's what Jay-Z just said in the video I showed you guys at the 30-minute mark of this video for an hour with him and Warren Buffett. You guys can go back and Google that. And he says the shiny things. They show you the shiny things, and you just take the bait to the shiny things. Blue Sky, I'm sorry. Just had to talk about that a little bit. Just had to really sit down. They ain't gave you no value to no relationships, no partnerships, no business ships. Can't even show you to the bank. Can't even show you to the bank. Giving you little stuff. Oh yeah, that does. I say that ain't did nothing. Show you to the bank. Show me to it. Most people don't know how to get there. I'm trying to help people out. I'm trying to really go in here and say, hey, man, if you really want to, you can do this, this, and that, and that. And people don't know how to get there. Here we go. What's up, Q? Thank you, brother. Shout out to you, man. You got to know when to hold them, got to know when to fold them. Don't jump into a 24-month play, 10-year mentality. Nothing's wrong on a short play. Facts. Got to know how to adjust accordingly. What's up, Lambo? Shout out to you. Didn't quit. QP. Ultimate Streams TV. Hello, Financial Friday. Let's go. Chris Copeland's in the building. Shout out to you, Lieutenant. The people connected to the Leverage Show are collectively worth at least $1 billion. Straight up. Nah, this is actually in billions. I'm not even going to say just $1 billion. It's really in billions. They got some people I will never disclose who they are. Their net worth is already in billions. Straight up. Never disclose. So we already in billions. You got to put an S on that, Blue Sky. Shout out to you for that. Got to put an S on that. Okay, so they are mentioning giving. We already know Lambo's way of giving is 5 + 5 + 5. I told you guys that way of giving. That's what my giving is. That's how I give. 5 goes to my actual church, 5%. 5% goes to whether it's somebody who needs help. Doesn't matter who needs help. Somebody who needs help. You know somebody needs help, give it to them. Even if it's a waiter or a waitress. Some of y'all like to go out to eat all the time. Go tip them. Give them some money. Somebody needs something. I'm pretty sure you could find even another charity. And I showed you guys Teddy Bear Cancer Society and some other charities, whether it's St. Jude. I don't care. Somebody needs to be taken care of. Straight up. Straight up. You give 5 hours of giving your time to something. I don't care what it is. Lambo gets 5 hours every single week. Like, this is 2.5 hours right here on just this program right now. That's why I had to increase what I was doing on just Tuesday nights. Because there's a place. Remember, how many of you remember the show of the Leverage Show up until last October? It was last October, October 4th. So that was 22. And in 22 in October, Lambo went from one night a week on Tuesdays. Remember, the Leverage Show just used to be Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. People used to couldn't wait for that one night. Man, we were having so many people packed coming in there that one night. You guys can go back and check it out. It was insane that first year, man. And everybody coming in, they just was packing on that one night. So then I kept saying to myself, I said, man, I met with some other people. Some other people says, Lambo, you have to come on there more. You love loan content. You have to come on there more. You have to go do it. If you want to grow your channel really big, you're going to have to come on there more than that one time a week. That was it. I wasn't doing anything special. Finance Fridays, no anything. And then I bumped it up to twice a week. I bumped it up to Tuesday and a Thursday night. Oh my gosh. It was like people were divided. Well, Lambo, I can catch you more on Thursday nights. I had guests that was saying I prefer a Thursday night because Thursday night works better for me. I can't do Tuesday. I can do Thursday. I had guests say, man, I can definitely do a Thursday, but I can definitely do a Tuesday. I can't do Thursday. Right? So I had that mixed guests coming in to be able to accommodate them both. So now it was easier to book a lot of guests at one time to do both nights. It was really easier. And then I added, if you guys remember, Finance Fridays, I was doing Motivation Mondays and Finance Fridays as just videos, right? And I changed Finance Fridays to Finance Fridays Live. So I can come on at 12 noon Eastern on Fridays. And I found out that Lambo, people who couldn't do Tuesday and Thursday nights could do Fridays at noon Eastern. And I said, oh my goodness, Lambo, get a chance. If there's not a guest scheduled to come on a Friday live, I can go one-on-one and talk about finances. Oh my goodness. This is what the Leverage Show is about. Talk about how leveling you up to a whole nother level. The Leverage Show levels you up spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically, and definitely financially. Psychologically is what I meant. Psychologically and financially. Relationship-wise. Building healthy relationship. Building a healthy you. Mentally building a healthy you. Internally building a healthier you. And a more powerful you. That's what the Leverage Show does. The Leverage Show does that. Shout out to you for that, Blue Sky. So I live 5+5 giving. 5 to my church, 5 and everything, man, to help somebody, give somebody. I give to somebody, period. And we're always giving it, consumer spending somewhere. You can give to somebody and help somebody. And then 5 hours and everything, man, of you donating your time, I don't care what that is, to some Goodwill, church, charities, or whatever, or you communicating like this, or giving in some one-on-one time of mentorship to somebody. I'm telling you what I know. That is my 5+5 give. So I give 5 hours each and every single week on this show to make sure you guys, and I hold myself to it. I hold myself to it. Even if there's an hour here, an hour and a half there, and then come back and butt it up with another hour and a half. Boom. Or it's 2 hours here, 2.5 hours there, 30 minutes here, whatever the case may be, I'm gonna give 5 hours. Always give over more. So, and that's definitely what I do. Shout out to Issa, man. C.A. Murph, man. Great video. Brother, that video was something awesome, man. Mr. Charlie Banks is in the building. Mr. 24 hours in the house. Let's go. 555 555, my soul. Appreciate you, Charlie B. Thank you, brother. Brother, that's when I talk with Charlie, that's what I'm talking about. Charlie's one of them. When you talk with Charlie, he's gonna come to you with $1 million problems. I ain't gonna say $1 million problems, $1 million issues. He ain't gonna come to you with some stuff that's gonna be out there. Yeah, I'm trying to go ahead and see if I can just come to you, with some and I love it. This is what we do. I love vision. And the people who know that about me, I love people who have vision. When you have vision, that means you're going to the next level and you're constantly forward thinking. You're getting to this next level. Some things that you got to do, and that's what we're here to do. I'm here to help you get there. Preach. Mark says, relationships is everything. They are everything. You guys have to know, man, I'm telling you what I know. Whether it's relationships, personal relationships, your family, relationship with friends, relationships with co-workers, relationships with networking, relationships with banks, your relationship with God. Relationships is everything. They will help depend and determine where you are going. And if you decide to really get to that next level, are you going to stay there? They're everything. Cutie Potato for Life says, Lambo family, shout out to you, Cutie Potato for Life. Thank you for being in the building. Blue Sky showing love to Cutie P. Isis showing love to Cutie P. 100, you already know. Blue Sky said, you're right. Everyone needs a dream team. Some of us learn by the importance of teamwork as young in preschool, and by adulthood, completely forgot. We need that. You're going to need somebody to help you get to that next level. And when they help you get to that next level, watch how different your life is. Watch what you're able to accomplish. Watch the venues and places you'll be able to get into and have access to because of relationships. I know firsthand how this works. Issa hitting you with that fire emoji and that love in the heart. Man, you know what time it is. Seize the opportunity, or the opportunity may cease to exist. This is facts. Take a hold of it. Damian Burris said it the best, man. The opportunity of a lifetime only lasts the lifetime of the opportunity. Facts. sometimes we're going to miss that opportunity of a lifetime because we're going to not take advantage of it. Don't worry about it. I got time. Kobe Bryant said, man, the biggest misconception that we all think is that we all have time. Shout out to you, Kobe. The Mamba Day special for you yesterday. Cutie Potato says, facts, Blue Sky. Blue Sky says, on your way up out of your pit, bring up enough mud with you to build the ladder for that one that's following right behind you. Big Luke in the building. Shout out to you, man. What up, Lambo? Good to see you, Big Luke, brother. You already know what time it is, man. Blue Sky showing the love to Luke. V. Easter showing love to Luke. Luke was there. I told y'all in D.C., man. He was one of them, man. I love it. Baby is laughing at Blue Sky. Blue Sky already know how to keep going. She keep Murph going. She keep everybody on their toes, but she definitely keep Murph going, man. I be loving it, man. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Welcome in, Luke. Shout out to you. When I think at Luke, Luke was next to Marshall. Marshall was next to Larry. I had to think about that. Luke and Marshall. Shout out to you. I had to sit here and think. It was when I looked at Luke, remember looking at Marshall. I was like, okay, cool. I remember that. Remember that now. Thank you. Welcome in, Luke. Thank you for Luke, because by you popping in, I knew what it was. My God, Mighty E is in a billion. This info is priceless. Shout out to you, Big E. You already know what time it is. Appreciate you, man. That's what we're here to do on this Leverage Show. Mighty E in the building. They showing love to Mighty E. Mighty E showing love to Blue Sky. You already know. Lambo on levels on levels on levels. Stacks from stacks from stack. Bags on bags on bag. Racks on racks on racks. We're here to continuously to help push you into the next level, because that's the game that we on. I'm telling y'all, y'all haven't seen nothing yet, man. Y'all just get ready. Y'all don't know what y'all are part of. I know what you guys are a part of. So I'm constantly, each and every single week. But I had people, this is the true story. When Tony Nino from Straight Up Driven came on the channel, right? For the Money Mondays, right? You guys don't miss February 19th. Randy Lambeth will be on that Money Mondays, on that Zoom call at 8 p.m. Eastern. You guys don't want to miss that. So make sure you set your alarms. And he's going to give something special just for the Leverage Show. But when Tony Nino was on there from Straight Up Driven, 3 weeks ago, I think it was, 2-3 weeks ago, and people were like, man, they didn't even know who the heck he was. And when people found out, they're like, oh my gosh, how in the world are you guys? I said, man, it's a connection. 9-figure. That means if he's a 9 net worth of 100 million, he had to have done, as far as in business, assets, and everything else, close to 3 to 5 times, 3 to 5 to 10 times that. 3 to 5 to 10 times that. He had to have done that much, because if he has an existing asset and a net worth of $100 million, 9 figures, he had to have done 3 to 5 to 10 times that to have that asset. And when people heard that, I think the magnitude, people started putting around like, man, what in the heck? Who in the heck are these people that are connected to this show? I connected them for you guys. I connected them because people don't even know, like and this is the God honest truth, like some of the greatest people that you know that have either been on the show or watching the show, like their one connection, or I'm talking about is one phone call, or even Lambo, one phone call or one text away, hey man, would love to have Grant Cardone on here. A lot of people who know Grant Cardone, 10X, man, you guys know, I mean, there's one connection to Ed Milet. Like I'm telling you this right now, like it's one connection one text, one phone call from that. That's because of the connection in relationships that we have built. To some of these other great people, people like, how in the heck? Because of relationships. Spend time to build the relationships. Remember this, and I'm telling you this right now, man. Always remember this. Always dance with the ones you came to the party with. You know how when some of y'all back in the day, y'all would sit back up in here, y'all would go to dances and go to proms and go to this, and you dancing with everybody else than the person that you came there with? It's the most disrespectful thing, unless you set it up that way. Unless you set it up that way. And that's what happens when some people in success in life, when you're taking them and exposing them to some things, they get buck wild. Oh, man. They start seeing everybody and thinking that, oh, my goodness. And the ones and everything, man, who brought you to the party is just sitting down there, just sitting back watching. Like, wow. So this is how this is going to be. I got you into this party. I got you into this place. Now when you get here, you're dancing with everybody and showing your tail, but the one that brought you here. That right there is where people lose it at. And I've seen it over and over again. I've seen it time and time again. And I've even told people, I said, man, I've seen it where people get around, you do this, and then all of a sudden you do this. That'll never be me. Okay. Time will tell. I'll be right here, taking a seat, looking from the outside, looking in. And when you see them dancing around that table, dancing on that floor, and they're telling everybody, I got it, and you start seeing them change. It's like, oh, I've seen this before. You got to remember, you ain't the first one we took into the dance. We took many other people to dance before. First, when people get that first dance and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm here, I'm all over. My mind goes when I do this, I think of Jay Ford at his wedding, man. Jay Ford was dancing, boy. He was happy. Shout out to Jay Ford, man. Enjoying his first month of marriage as well. Dance with the ones you came there with. I promise you, it'll help you out tremendously. Because when you get there, you're gonna know how to conduct yourself accordingly. You'll be like, you know, my Lambo he be jabbing at me like this. Because I'm telling you what I know. Don't get it twisted. I've had a lot of great people, man. And one of the greatest things I heard, and I told you guys this on the Leverage Show a minute ago, man. I said one of the greatest things I've ever heard in my life. A lot of great people have changed under these lights. They get the lights, they get the notoriety. They start seeing people giving them shine. This is true story. There is somebody right now, true story, had all the potential in the world when things were hot, when it was just season, when things were just really rolling. They were rolling big. Couldn't stop them from going on anywhere. Then all of a sudden, boom, they hit that train wreck, they hit that wall. And nobody in Hollywood wants to hire right now. You don't want to even, you suing everybody. You hiring them. And it's a famous housewife of something. I'm gonna just leave it alone. You guys know, the ladies who know who that is, or some men may know who that is. And before then, she was on everything. Her husband passed away just a few years ago. Right after her husband passed away, husband wasn't even in the ground cold a month. She was already on to the next relationship. True facts. Lambo gonna tell you. Lambo gonna just keep it real with you. And I watched how they made it up, made it all the way through. And then all of a sudden you start seeing the change. And it starts slowly at points. And sometimes it just right out the gate, they start fast. You see people and everything, when they get into the environment or when they get into the place, they automatically change. It's just like, wow, you really transform like that? That's how you transform? And you understand, they won't make it at any more parties long. Remember, life is how you respond to it. It's not what's happening to you. How you respond to when that DJ is actually on that floor and your favorite jam comes on. You bumping everybody out the way? Get out of my way. Get out of my way. Or are you willing to allow people to dance with you? Come on, you come dance. Let's go. The team player. Partnerships, relationships. My favorite jam on, but I want you to dance with me. Let's go. I'm not in here to dance on this floor by myself and act buck wild and jump all over the place and you're all out of character. I want you to come dance with me. Listen, y'all, I'm here to help challenge you each and every single show because I really want you to get better. I desire for you to get better. I desire for your lifestyle to get better. I desire that once it does get better, that when you get there, your character literally takes over. And shout out to Murph for actually putting that in there, man. And it's the truth. Your talents will take you into places that your character is not yet groomed for. And it's the truth. Shout out to you for that, Murph. I really want you guys to continue to moving forward and continue to keep moving to new levels and continue to start reaching all of your dreams, all your desires, and all of your goals. But it's going to take for you to stick to the script. Stay sound. Stay focused. Because I promise you, you don't know how big your life in the things that in the wonderful relationships that you will afford yourself to have because you have stayed solid. And other people are going left field. Like, man, it went left field. What happened? Don't be shocked. Don't be fooled. It's also a scripture that says it, but let none of these things move you. You don't need to be moved by anything. When you see crazy stuff happen, like, wow, can't believe that happened, that person would do that. People gonna be people. What you worrying about it for? People gonna be people. Let people be people. You stay focused on the goal. You stay focused on the course. You stay focused on your assignment and your purpose, what you were designed for. And I promise you this, your life will continue to keep going to the new levels, the next levels, because you decided to do that. Blue Sky says, Lambo, I'll keep it 100. First, you're connected with the Father, then you're set, then yourself and your bride. That is the triple threat. Every other connection beyond that is icing on the cake. Couldn't say it any better myself. Thank you for that, Blue Sky. Appreciate you for that. That's what we're here to do. I'm here to continuously to help show you guys how we're going to do this thing. You understand? By making sure that you have the right order, have the right game plan moving forward. Your whole success, I promise you, your whole success. Steve Harvey said it the best. Don't shoot me, I'm just a messenger. Steve Harvey said it the best. If you know that video I've shared with you guys, that's over an hour, and I've even played it even on here, that I listen to each and every single day, a few times in the morning, a few times at night. Sometimes I listen to it through and through. Me and my wife, I'll be going places and everything, man. And I will just sit there and say something, and she'd be like, boom, there it goes. We know that video back and forth. Your whole success is tied to your relationship with God. Your whole entire success. And after that, your strategies of what you do and relationships of how you leverage will allow you access to go into your next level. I am not going to just sit here and let you just exist and not try to help you along your journey. Because my whole job, my whole purpose is to help you in your journey. So your journey can be a more successful journey. Listen, I love you guys. Thank you guys for tapping in to another edition of Finance Fridays live with your boy Lambo Drew. I know I almost kept you almost 3 hours. Please go back and share this information. Get this information out to each and every single person you possibly can. This video will probably be the blessing that someone really has been praying for, that they need in their life. I love you guys, man. I try to pour everything I can into you guys because I really want to see you guys be so much better and on a higher level that you've ever experienced that. Take this replay, watch it. I don't care if you guys got to binge watch the Leverage Show over the weekend. Do it. Level up all 2024. We got more great things to come. You guys can't wait for next week. I can't wait to go ahead and help empower you, uplift you, and enlighten you and encourage you next week even more. We'll be back here on the same station Tuesday night at 8 p.m. and Thursday night at 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific time, right back here on The Leverage Show. Have a great weekend, everybody. My wife is already showing love, man. Have a great weekend, everybody. I love you guys. And guess what? Whether you love me back or not, I love you guys, and I believe in you guys. And guess what? You're going to make it. Take care, man. You guys have an amazing weekend. I'm out of here. We're out of here. Y'all be safe and do what y'all do to continue to keep leveling up, man. Take care. God bless, man. Till next time. I'm Lambo Drew, and I'm out.